Welcome to a world where things have gone from bad to worse. The kingdom is suffering from a biblical-level drought, and the people are starving. The king, completely bewitched by a noble consort, makes a horrifying decision. He sacrifices 3,000 little boys to pray for rain, and rain it does. A rain of blood that brings a terrifying plague. In the dead of night at the imperial palace, a tragedy is unfolding. Meet our poor heroine Sujayanyu. She's been chained, tortured, and is slowly bleeding out. This was all done by her childhood best friend Yi Cheng. Why, she cries, her heart shattering into a million pieces. You gouged out my eye and you drank my blood. She screams, her voice raw with agony and betrayal. But the only answer she gets is a savage slap across the face. Her so-called best friend is a stone-cold villainess. Your blood is the only thing that can cure the plague, she sneers. Karma's a witch, isn't it? Our girl spits back even in her despair, but the villainess just cackles, absolutely delighted by her suffering. She lifts a golden goblet filled with our heroine's blood and drinks it down with a sickening smirk. You vicious witch, Jianyu screams, Prince Yukshin won't let you off. And speak of the devil, her fiancé arrives. But wait, he's not here to save her. He pulls the villainess into a loving embrace, promising to make our girl pay. The absolute horror dawns on her. They were in on it together. Her fiancé, the man she was supposed to marry, pulls out a dagger. Now that your blood can cure the plague, he says with a smile, I wonder if your flesh can too. He is pure, unadulterated trash. Our girl lets out a blood-curdling scream. This psycho actually licks the blood off the dagger, and then complains that she smells bad, the audacity. You adulterous couple, she roars, you will both die a miserable death. But her fiancé just smiles, he's got one more surprise. He's brought a guest, the king, but something is very, very wrong. The king is a monster. We didn't feed him your blood, the prince explains cheerfully, so he has become the living dead. Jianyu's blood runs cold. The villainess unchains her, throwing her to the ground. Serve his majesty well, she says as she tosses our girl to the zombie king. Her screams echo through the dungeon. She's literally being eaten alive by the zombified king. As the two traitors walk away, the prince plots to frame her for the king's murder. A system has been activated. Her eyes snap open, filled with a new fiery light. Repair of the original body's finished. Suddenly, we're somewhere else. This is our new heroine, a super agent from the 21st century. She just got her hands on this mysterious ring, and now she's been ice-kai'd. The original owner's tragic memories flood her mind. Betrayed by her best friend and fiancé, eaten by a zombie, and then framed for it all. Holy crap, our girl thinks. This life is more dramatic than a TV series. But there's no time to process. A system window pops up with a warning. She has 2 hours to escape the imperial palace, or she'll be eliminated. Eliminated? She panics. Can't a girl get an easier tutorial mission? No time to whine, she bolts. Her scumbag ex-fiancé is stunned. How is this beast still alive? She leaps from the prison tower without a second thought. He orders his men to kill her, but our girl is a whole new person now. She lands like a superhero, and when he swings his sword, she stops it with 2 fingers. The look on her face is pure, unbothered perfection. The zombie king lunges, but she just dodges. She snatches the sword from his hand with a flick of her wrist and gives him a taste of his own medicine. Just then the crown prince arrives, screaming, how dare you kill my father? Our girl doesn't even blink. Shut up, you jerk, and she slaps him right across his stupid face. Asterisk beep, asterisk mission, slap the cheater completed. She even gets reward points for it. Our girl is loving this new system. The ex-fiancé orders the guards to swarm her. She's surrounded, what now? She asks the system if she can buy an item like a flash bomb. She's 100 points short, time to get creative. She turns to the villainess with the most terrifying grin you've ever seen, and kicks her right where the sun don't shine. Asterisk beep, asterisk mission, kick the scheming bee complete, 100 points gained. System, give me the flash bomb now. She pulls the pin, ready to make a chaotic exit. These lousy soldiers think they can stop her. They have no idea they're dealing with Queen Beacon, a world-renowned super agent. She unleashes the flash bomb and leaves them with a parting message. Obey me and live, defy me and die. While they're all blinded, she delivers a well-deserved beatdown. 1 punch for the father, 1 kick for the country, and 1 final smack for herself. Who the hell are you? They shriek in terror. Our girl is already gone, escaping under the cover of the Lantern Festival fireworks. She successfully escaped and gained 1,000 reward points. But the system hits her with another bombshell. A blood moon is coming, which will turn everyone infected into the living dead. Doomsday is here, our girl is livid. You damn system. The system just cheerfully wishes her a happy Lantern Festival, the absolute troll. She literally kicks the system window in frustration. Okay, deep breaths, she needs to hoard supplies for the apocalypse, but there's one problem, she's flat broke. Suddenly, she hears a horse charging right at her. She braces for impact and stops the charging beast with her bare hands. The handsome rider is completely stunned. What a strong woman. But our girl isn't swooning, she just had a brilliant idea. A devilish grin spreads across her face. She immediately goes limp, falling into his arms. Ouch, your horse injured me, you must pay compensation. And as this chaotic first encounter unfolds, the blood moon rises, signaling that doomsday is about to begin. Our girl wakes up with a gasp, demanding to know who this man is and how he dared enter her room. But she's not in her room at all. She's in the middle of an imperial road, surrounded by an entire army. A condescending voice cuts through the air. There are so many ignorant women in the world, but I've hardly met anyone like you. The handsome but arrogant man grabs her chin, asking where she wants him to bury her. He smirks, telling her he had to pay for the funeral of the last female assassin who threw herself at him, clearly thinking she's another one. He calls her delusional, pitying her for having a pretty face but a broken brain before telling her to scram. She turns to leave, completely over this guy's attitude, but he suddenly draws his sword. Wait, he says with a smirk, I don't think I allowed you to leave. Our girl just stares at him, completely unimpressed. In a flash, she blocks his blade with her bare hands and with a sickening crack, shatters it to pieces. The guards immediately rush to protect their highness, but our heroine stands her ground. I'm not afraid of you, even with your backup. She warns him to stop pestering her, or he might not be able to resist her small tricks. He's absolutely flabbergasted. I'm pestering you, he sputters, accusing her of twisting the situation. He challenges her to show him her so-called tricks, his guards ready to pounce. But our girl knows exactly what to do. Thinking that doomsday is fast approaching and she can't waste time, she decides to make a legendary move. She grabs him, declaring, since you insist on messing with me, don't blame me for ruining your reputation. And then she plants a kiss on him, right there in front of his entire army. The prince is completely frozen in shock. One of his men can't believe what he's seeing, muttering about how bold she is. His personal aide is having a full-blown panic attack, worried that his highness, who's never been this close to a woman, won't be able to resist. The prince shoves her away, his face beet red. She just gives him a wicked little grin. What the hell do you want? He demands. She lays it out plain and simple. I just wanted to scam you, but you threatened my life. Compensate me and I'll leave. The aide, realizing they're in a hurry, tells the prince to just give the troublemaker what she wants. He approaches our girl, apologizing and offering her a hefty bag of gold as compensation. She happily accepts the cash. Later, the aide asks the prince why he gave her so much. The prince coolly replies that the Fergana horse they startled was worth more, to which the aide cries, "That's my horse." The poor guy is absolutely devastated. Meanwhile, our girl is using her system points to stock up on supplies for the coming apocalypse. She knows she needs to buy as much food as possible while the system can keep it fresh. She wisely chooses a long sword over arrows to save precious space in her storage. Looking out at the Lantern Festival, she knows that the crowded city will be a death trap once doomsday hits, and decides the safest place will be on the river. She finds a boat and hops aboard, only to run straight into the aide from before. He's thrilled, thinking she must have followed him because she's smitten. As he preens, the moon is suddenly eclipsed. A chilling cough echoes from below deck. The aide explains that the ships have been turned into temporary clinics for plague victims. He's here on behalf of the crown prince to offer comfort. Just then, the sky turns blood red and a horrifying red rain begins to fall. Our girl's heart sinks, there is no safe place. Suddenly, one of the patients begins to convulse, her eyes glowing a terrifying red. She lunges, and the clueless aide thinks she's just energetically recovered. He even wonders if she's trying to repay him with her body, boasting about how charming he is. Our girl shoves him out of the way just as the zombie attacks, slicing the creature down in one clean strike. The aide, still oblivious, starts screaming at her for killing an innocent girl who he thought had a crush on him. She shushes him and tells him to look for himself. Screams erupt from all over the ship. Back in the capital, the prince arrives at the palace under the same blood moon. He finds his own soldiers collapsed on the ground. From the palace walls, his own brother accuses him of sending assassins to kill their father. The brother smirks. His plan to lure the prince into a trap worked perfectly. The prince demands to see the emperor, but his way is blocked. The brother then cruelly announces that their father has already been killed. Before the prince can even process the betrayal, one of his fallen soldiers rises as a zombie and attacks. His brother laughs maniacally, revealing his new living dead army. All across the city, the plague victims are turning and the streets descend into a bloodbath. The cowardly brother shoves his own consort towards the zombies to save himself. A soldier confirms his worst fears. The entire capital is turning into the living dead. The brother panics, realizing his ambition to be emperor means nothing if he's dead. He makes a run for it. Back on the ship, the aide is surrounded and terrified. But our girl appears like a goddess of wars. Why panic? I'm here protecting you. She stands over a pile of slain zombies, completely unfazed. Accessing her system, she unlocks a new battle outfit. Then she spends all her points to redeem a motorcycle. The aide is speechless. Shut up and hop on, she commands. Elsewhere, the cowardly prince brother is cornered. He pathetically declares he's the chosen one to the horde. Spotting our girl on a bridge above, he screams for her help, promising to make her his queen if she saves him. Her response, she revs the engine and pops a wheelie right over his head. Don't make me laugh. As she soars through the air, she delivers the final savage blow. I will never become anyone's appendage. I'm way out of your league. He can only scream as the horde descends upon him. With a hard thud, our girl throws Yun Kai and Liu onto the back of her ride. She revs the engine and speeds off into the night, leaving everyone in the dust. He clings to her for dear life, completely shook, asking how she conjured this iron horse out of thin air and if she's an immortal. Our girl just rolls with it, thinking it's easier to bluff since this ancient dude is clearly superstitious. He's totally buying it, calling her Miss Immortal and asking where they're headed. They've left the guards standing stunned on the rooftop, but unfortunately, they've driven straight into a horde of the living dead. As he holds on a little too tight, she tells him to get off and get ready to fight. She whips out her bow, but instead of arrows, she's firing swords. Yun Kaienliu is gobsmacked by her sheer audacity. The swords fly true, skewering the zombies one by one. She takes down another one with brutal efficiency, leaving the street littered with bodies. Yun Kaienliu steps up, offering to show her what absolute accuracy looks like. But then our girl pulls out a gun, and he just assumes it's more of her magical immortal powers. She pulls the trigger, asterisk, click, asterisk. Nothing happens, he's confused, and a zombie takes the opportunity to lunge at her. Of course, the gun has no bullets. Our girl decides she'll just have to use it as a very expensive brick. And with a satisfying crunch, she pistol whips the zombie right in its ugly face. The rest of the horde keeps coming though, and it's not looking good. Yun Kaienliu starts to despair, crying that there's no way out. But our girl is the queen of confidence, telling him there are escape routes all over the world if you know where to look. She has to put away her motorcycle to store the gun, while her companion is now smugly walking along a rooftop, boasting about how smart they are. But their great escape leads them right into another group of people, led by the one and only crown prince, who looks less than thrilled to see her again. He immediately reaches out and grabs her, demanding to know who she is. His grip is iron tight, and his eyes are practically burning with rage as he wonders why she's with Yun Kaienliu. Our girl is having none of it and tries to kick him off, but he just catches her in a dramatic dip, twisting her leg and warning her not to push her luck. Yun Kaienliu quickly jumps in to defend his savior, Miss Immortal, revealing the man's identity as the crown prince. The prince just looks at her, completely baffled by the nickname. Seeing her chance, our girl goes full chaotic flirt mode, teasing that he's just mad he didn't kiss her last time. He sputters out a denial as she tries to wrench herself free. He finally lets her go, claiming it's only because she saved Yun Kaienliu, but not before pulling out a rope. Our girl's face falls. Damn it, she's been tricked by this overly prepared guy. Yun Kaienliu foolishly suggests they take the troublemaker with them, but the prince's guard warns against it. The crown prince just glares at Yun Kaienliu and gives him two choices: shut his mouth or dig his own grave. He then physically clamps a hand over Yun Kaienliu's mouth, who turns pale with fright. With more guards approaching, our girl improvises, hopping onto Yun Kaienliu's shoulders for a free ride. The poor guy is practically crying, caught in the crossfire of their insane dynamic. Suddenly, a shrill voice cuts through the air, belonging to some noble lady who's shocked Su Jianyu is still alive. She challenges our girl to a fight, but Su Jianyu, perched comfortably on her human taxi, just tells the crown prince to go kill the screaming lady for her. The lady's guards are useless, admitting they dropped their weapons when they climbed up. Our girl just smirks, loving how furious the woman is, which only makes her screech even louder. The crown prince has finally had enough of the noise, and with one savage kick, he sends the annoying lady flying right off the roof. As she plummets, our girl looks back at the prince, who coldly tells her not to look at him. She decides that while he's an arrogant child, their shared enemy makes them temporary friends. She even cracks a little smile. The moment is ruined, however, when a zombie appears right at their feet. The whole group freezes. Our girl realizes the zombies didn't have to climb. They just jumped from the ground to the rooftops, and now more of them are swarming the roof. Just as Yun Kaienliu screams to run, the system dings. A compulsory mission appears: kill the living dead, get their brain crystals, and activate secret arts. She has 3 minutes or she'll be eliminated. The horde closes in, and they're completely surrounded. Our girl is furious, complaining that her system only ever puts her in more danger instead of helping. And to make matters worse, she's still tied up with the prince's rope. While Yun Kaienliu begs her to be gentle, the system announces a 3-minute reward mode. She leaps off his shoulders, ready for action. She smirks, calling it her personal reward mode, a time for the strong to slaughter the weak and rack up points. She takes off running, but she's heading straight for the zombie horde. The lady who got kicked off the roof cackles from below, thinking our girl is doomed. But she's not running away. She plunges a dagger straight into a zombie's head, shattering her bonds and earning a reward point, which she immediately uses to redeem bullets. Both Yun Kaienliu and the crown prince are stunned by her raw power. The prince watches, a flicker of worry in his eyes, thinking there's no way she can take them all on alone. Until a loud bang echoes through the night. Our girl is in her element, taking them down one by one, proving she earned the title Queen Beacon all on her own. The villainess is in absolute shock, unable to believe what just happened. The crown prince, however, immediately recognizes the weapon our girl is holding. It's a firearm. She quickly tells her system to automatically redeem all her reward points for bullets. The power is limited, so she needs perfect accuracy to maximize her points. With a confident smirk, she declares it's easy peasy. But the danger isn't over yet, as a horde of the living dead begins to swarm the rooftops. The main villainess Yi Qingsheng cackles like a hyena. She's convinced our girl can't possibly shoot all of them with a single firearm. Her lackey guards are quick to praise her brilliant, yet failing, plan. Standing against the blood-red moon, our heroine makes a bold proclamation. Within 3 minutes, she declares, "I'll knock you all flat." If it weren't for the precious reward points, she'd have ended this already. With deadly precision, she starts picking them off one by one. And you know she's wishing every single one of these bullets was meant for that smug-faced B*TCH Yi Qingsheng. The villainess can't believe her eyes, her plan crumbling with every shot fired. Just then, a system notification pops up. Mission accomplished. Our girl has activated a new power, Fire Star 1. Suddenly, she's surrounded by a golden aura, completely stunned by this new development. She absorbs a secret crystal from one of the fallen, wondering what on earth Iron Star 1 even is. The system helpfully explains that there are 7 kinds of secret arts, each with different skills and power levels. It's a whole new power system, from iron all the way up to divine, and our girl is just getting started. Well, she smirks, sounds interesting, but her moment of triumph is cut short when a hand suddenly grabs her. It's the crown prince, pulling her into his arms and leaving her completely speechless. Our girl is more annoyed than anything, grumbling that she wasted a bullet when she could have used it on the villainess. He gets all smug, asking what she's doing, and she snaps back that he's the one holding her. She even threatens to castrate him if he gets any funny ideas, the absolute savage. Then she sees the zombies piling up below, realizing the gunshots drew them all in. He was actually trying to save her, as the horde continues to climb. The prince decides to take matters into his own hands, scooping her up into a princess carry. He's realized she's a secret tart master and has far too many secrets to just let her die. But our girl has other plans and fires off another shot. The loud bang startles Yi Qingsheng so much that she loses her footing. The villainess goes tumbling right off the roof, just barely managing to hang on by her fingertips. She dangles helplessly above the swarm of zombies, a truly poetic sight. Our girl smirks, revealing the gun wasn't even loaded. What a magnificent bluff. With a final bit of savage advice, she tells the screaming villainess to hold on tight or she'll die. Yi Qingsheng can only shriek threats as they leave her behind. They arrive at the imperial palace, much to the confusion of the prince's subordinate. With the living dead closing in on all sides, the prince ushers them inside, promising to explain. But they're not alone, a woman is sitting on the throne. The prince recognizes her as Princess Changning, who seems a little too familiar with him. This princess is clearly up to no good, internally panicking that her own plan has failed. She immediately puts on a damsel in distress act, but our girl isn't buying it for a second. A memory flashes in her mind. This is the same princess who cruelly kicked the original owner of this body into a pond. She called her a plebeian and left her to drown, all because she couldn't be bothered to change her own shoes. The memory solidifies and our heroine's eyes burn with fury. Now I remember, it's you. Before the princess can react, our girl lunges forward and snatches what she was hiding. It's the glowing heirloom seal of the realm. The princess immediately starts crying fake tears, claiming she was protecting it for the crown prince. But the system doesn't care about her acting skills and promptly merges the seal with our girl's body, unlocking a new secret space. The seal vanishes into her hand, and she is not happy about this forced upgrade. The princess continues her Oscar-worthy performance, wailing about how the seal is gone, all while trying to frame our beautiful heroine. She begs to be punished for her failure, but Jian Yu cuts the performance short with a satisfying slap. A massive spirit dragon manifests behind her as she warns the princess to cut the crap or die. The princess is stunned into silence, trembling with rage, while the prince's subordinate has a minor heart attack watching this chaos unfold. The crown prince has had enough. He demands she give him the seal. Grabbing her wrist, our girl lays out the facts. The system merged it with her body, and unless he plans on literally searching inside her, he's out of luck. His eyes glow dangerously as he slams her against a pillar. Then, sorry about what I'm gonna do, he whispers, and oh boy, the tension is thick enough to cut with a knife. He pins her down, looming over her as she demands to know what he wants. He smirks, announcing his intention to frisk her himself. Our girl, completely unbothered, basically tells him to go for it, confident he won't find anything. He's intrigued by her boldness, but just as things are about to get really interesting, the living dead break through the doors. Damn it, what bad timing, the prince mutters, his plans ruined. He looks toward the throne and presses a hidden switch, revealing a secret tunnel. It's an escape route his father told him about. But as the door opens, our girl gets another system notification. A hidden mission, escape from this very tunnel for 500 reward points. The system is telling her the tunnel is dangerous before she even steps inside. Yeah, that's not suspicious at all. Faced with a horde of zombies behind her and a suspicious death trap in front of her, she makes her choice. All right, you guys win, goodbye, she yells and makes a mad dash into the tunnel. She finds herself in a vast cavern with an underground river. Something tells her the water is probably not safe. Then her companion points out several boats floating in the dark water, and it looks like they have cargo. The group stares in horror at the river, which is filled with boats carrying corpses. Their faces are all covered with a cloth bearing a strange scale pattern, raising more questions than answers. The prince's companion admits that while he knew of this secret tunnel, he's never actually been inside. Our girl, ever the expert, calmly explains that this boat is said to be a path for leading ghosts. But before she can elaborate, the crown prince suddenly grabs her wrist, refusing to let go in case she tries to run away. Just then, his companion spots two small islands up ahead. As they get closer, they see a massive stone coffin sitting on the shore. They land and investigate, noticing the same strange scale pattern carved into the stone. Our girl puts the pieces together, realizing the river, the islands, and the path itself form the shape of a giant scale. A guard runs over from the other island, reporting that there's another coffin there, and it's empty. Her eyes widen in shock. Empty? Why would it be empty? She wonders. They all stare at the vacant stone tomb. The prince's friend begins to panic, realizing the thing that was asterisk inside asterisk might have already gotten out. Meanwhile, the useless princess is having a meltdown, remembering her father's orders to steal the seal. She glares daggers at our heroine. This girl sabotaged her plan and slapped her. She lets out a furious scream. The sound startles the crown prince and our girl. They look towards the source of the commotion and see the unthinkable. The corpses on the boats are gone. A terrifying roar echoes from the water. And then they rise. The dead are now living, crawling out of the river like a zombie nightmare. As they swarm the shore, the princess does the most cowardly thing imaginable and shoves her own guards into the horde. You two have to make the final sacrifice to buy me time, she shrieks. She then tries to play the victim, claiming all lives are equal before immediately saying it's their honor to die for a royal. She even has the audacity to suggest she can help her father by handing the crown prince over to him. But the prince is having none of her traitorous nonsense. He draws his sword and tells her to get out. Our girl smirks, teasing him. Oh, are you worried about me? Don't flatter yourself, he snaps back, leaping into battle. If you die, how can I take the seal back? Sewer a buddy, whatever you say. He cleanly decapitates one of the ghouls with a single swing. Like a true leader, he orders his men into a battle formation to retreat while fighting. His men rally behind him. The chaotic princess, however, tries to grab the prince to use him as a shield. But in her panic, she grabs the wrong person. She's ended up with his nerdy friend instead, who looks utterly dumbfounded. I doctor dragged the wrong person, she stammers. While she's fumbling, the real prince is busy fighting for his life. Things go from bad to worse when a soldier reports their escape route has been blocked by more of the living dead. They're completely surrounded and hopelessly outnumbered. But just as all hope seems lost, a strange vroom echoes through the cavern. In the most badass entrance ever, our girl summons her freaking motorcycle. Keep up with me, she yells to the prince. I will clear the way for you. She plows through the horde of zombies like a hot knife through butter. You saved me once last time, now we're even, she calls out. But the prince isn't about to be left behind. He expertly leaps onto the back of the bike. Just ride your iron horse and leave the living dead to me, he commands, ready to fight from the back seat. She just grins. Sit tight then, your highness. They zoom past the pathetic princess and her accidental hostage. The bike speeds towards the exit. Sorry, the road is too narrow. Our girl yells, leaving them in the dust as the princess screams in frustration. The road is wide as hell, she rages. And in a moment of pure karmic justice, she gets trampled by the retreating soldiers. The men scramble to safety, desperate to close the heavy doors. With a loud bang, the doors slam shut, trapping the undead horde outside. They find themselves in a massive, quiet chamber. It's filled with hundreds of sanctuary lamps, a sight that leaves the prince's friend breathless. Our girl explains that the lamps aren't magical. The fact they're still lit just means they were lit recently. They spot an open doorway leading into a sunlit forest. This must be the spectral chamber, the final destination. They've made it out. And right on cue, the system dings in. Our girl has completed a hidden mission and gained 500 points. She steps into the lush greenery, realizing this underground passage connects directly to the outside world. But something feels wrong. This doesn't feel like an escape. It feels like a welcome. She turns around to find all of the prince's soldiers kneeling before her. The crown prince approaches, demanding she hand over the seal now that she's saved his men. Our girl gives the most casual shrug in history. You may not believe it, but the seal just disappeared. Nothing I can do about it. He is absolutely furious. His men immediately draw their weapons, accusing her of being a spy. And at that exact moment, the psycho princess lunges from the side, dagger in hand, screaming that she's going to kill the witch. But our girl's reflexes are faster. She easily dodges the attack and grabs the princess's arm, "You idiot, how could you speak so loud before blindsiding others?" she scoffs. The princess shrieks, threatening her with the wrath of the royal family. Suddenly, a terrifying howl cuts through the air. A pack of wolves emerges from the trees, their eyes glowing with the same plague as the zombies. The plague can infect animals too. Realizing this, our girl looks at the struggling princess. "Fine, I'll let you go." With a savage grin, she kicks the princess directly towards the infected wolves. "I said let go of me, you be *tch," she yells, serving up a steaming hot plate of karma. The poor princess goes rolling away, screaming for her life. A pack of rabid, zombie-eyed wolves is hot on her heels, howling for blood. But our girl isn't even watching. She's busy shopping in her system, cashing in reward points for a grenade. With a wicked grin, she yanks the pin and lobs the little gift right over the guards' heads. Her companion absolutely loses his mind, screaming, "Are you really going to kill a princess?" Just as the whole area goes up in a massive explosion. Our girl stands there silhouetted by the flames, looking like a total queen of chaos. She turns to him and asks, "Then give me a reason why I should keep her alive." She's not playing games. Anyone who messes with her is a goner, and that's her simple law of survival. The poor guy is sweating bullets, stammering that she's a princess of royal lineage. But his lecture is cut short when a hand grabs our girl's arm. It's the crown prince, and he has arrived to ruin the party. She just flashes him a devious little smile. He's fuming, calling her a shameless woman, but she just gets closer, her touch bold and challenging. The little companion covers his eyes, squealing for everyone to look away. Then our girl does the unthinkable and gives the prince a little pinch on the thigh. He yelps, demanding to know what she wants. She looks him dead in the eye and asks, "Does it hurt?" "Just like civilians, your royal family also feels pain, don't you?" She lays down the law, questioning why she can't fight back when his family is literally trying to kill her. She drops some ancient wisdom on him that leaves him completely speechless. The air crackles with tension as they lock eyes, a battle of wills unfolding right there. The royal guards finally show up, swords drawn, yelling to protect the crown princess. The companion is on the verge of a full-blown meltdown. The prince glares at her, accusing her of wanting to start a rebellion. Our girl scoffs, calls him a stupid feudal ruler, and tells him to butt out of her business. This sends the aide into another spiral, screaming that insulting the crown prince is a crime punishable by death. The prince has had enough of his screeching and bonks him on the head to shut him up. He then puffs out his chest, going on a whole tangent about how he receives instructions from heaven. He declares that as the crown prince, he will succeed the throne by heaven's mandate. "Given my identity," he asks, "am I not qualified to discipline you?" Oh, he did not just say that. She gets right in his personal space, her voice a seductive whisper. "Are you saying you can control me because you're the chosen one?" She leans back, her expression pure savage. "Sorry, I am the master of my own destiny, and I'm too wild for you to deal with." With a final goodbye forever, she turns to leave, but the system suddenly dings with a new, chaotic mission. Stay 9 meters away from the crown prince for 9 days. What a completely outrageous and lousy mission. The prince is still reeling from her epic takedown. She tries to take a step back, ready to bolt. But he's not letting her go that easy, ordering his guards to catch the troublemaker who's full of crap. His men quickly surround her. Our girl is fuming. She refuses to work on such an uneconomical mission. Her time is worth way more than this. But the second she crosses the 9-meter line, the system sounds an alarm. A wave of dizziness hits her, and her world goes black as she faints on the spot. A storm rages outside. Our girl wakes up by a fire inside an old temple, completely disoriented. She remembers the system knocking her out and immediately demands to know who's there. Of course, it's the crown prince, who apparently tied her up while she was unconscious. She struggles furiously, but he holds her fast. He pins her down, his face inches from hers, demanding to know who sent her. He starts rattling off names of his enemies, clearly thinking she's some kind of assassin. She screams at him to let her go, insisting she has no idea what he's talking about. He doesn't believe her for a second. He leans in closer, whispering that if she won't come clean, they'll have to get physical. "Big mistake, buddy." She notices his knot tying his amateur hour and easily slips a hand free, completely reversing their positions in a flash. She expertly ties his hands, showing him a few different styles. She even offers to teach him, calling herself a pro at subduing prisoners. He just glares up at her, utterly defeated. Right on cue, the clueless companion walks in with some fruit for his highness. He enters the room with a cheerful smile, which immediately dies when he sees the scandalous scene before him. Is she forcing herself on the prince? He feels so sorry for his master, who's clearly never been in such a mess before. A massive crash of thunder outside snaps them back to reality. The prince realizes his guards are in trouble. Our girl suggests a temporary truce, and he reluctantly agrees. But before they can go, the aide whispers in her ear, begging her not to abandon the prince's chastity after what she's done to him. The sheer drama of it all. She just snickers and promises to treat him like her significant other, earning a death glare from the prince. He immediately punches his aide for being an absolute idiot. The prince is worried. He left his best soldiers back at the border. Outside in the pouring rain, his men are being attacked. A soldier, bleeding heavily, stumbles towards him, begging for help. But it's too late. The man's eyes glow a demonic red as he lets out an inhuman roar. He's become one of the infected, lunging straight for the prince. The zombie's claws are just inches from his throat. Just then our girl's system dings, transaction complete. She steps in, weapon raised, and tells the prince to show mercy to the living, not the dead. This is her fight now. The crown prince is having a moment, realizing our girl chose to stay and fight beside them when she could have easily escaped. But there's no time for reflection because our heroine is screaming at him to slow down. Apparently her system will knock her out if she gets more than 9 meters away from him. As they race through the rain, they stumble upon the aftermath of a brutal fight. Suddenly, a massive chained-up zombie appears, roaring with rage. This guy is clearly not messing around. He brandishes a huge spiked club, ready to smash some skulls. Our girl immediately sizes him up, wondering if he's the boss monster of this undead horde. She quickly figures out these must be the bandits who lived nearby, now turned into mindless monsters. Another one lunges, but she whips out her trusty pistol, confident that modern tech will win the day. She fires, but this absolute unit of a zombie actually blocks the bullet with his arm. Our girl is stunned. These living dead are way smarter than she thought. The big guy lets out another terrifying roar and swings his club right at her head. But just in the nick of time, the crown prince parries the blow with his sword. He then has the audacity to ask if she was planning to surrender and marry the zombie. She dodges another attack and sassily asks if he's jealous. The zombie roars in frustration, but the prince sees his opening and drives his sword straight through the creature's head. Wiping the blood from his blade, he delivers the most savage line, "You've got no one to marry now." Our girl is completely taken aback by his chaotic energy. But she's not one to be outdone, retorting that since he's her significant other, she still has him. Hiding behind a pillar, their poor attendant thinks these two are even more horrifying than the actual zombies. She breathes a sigh of relief that there weren't more of them. But the attendant is literally weeping, thinking it's not that there weren't many, it's just that she's terrifyingly powerful. He's crying for the future of the kingdom with this chaotic woman by the prince's side. Suddenly, an eagle screeches as it flies through the storm. Our girl is confused by the sight, but the prince recognizes it as a messenger eagle from his teacher. He takes the note, relieved to know his teacher is safe. But as he reads the message, his face darkens with alarm. He immediately barks out an order for everyone to leave with him now. This is clearly urgent as they get on their horses. He explains that his teacher has quelled the riot in the capital, but there's a bigger problem. The attendant naively suggests they go back and explain the situation, but the prince just scoffs. He reveals the shocking truth. Lord Gongni and his daughter have staged a coup trying to steal the throne. Without warning, he yanks our girl onto his horse with him. She tries to explain she's not trying to be clingy. It's just her system's annoying 9-meter proximity rule. And with that, they gallop off into the rain. Their men are left in the dust, screaming that she's kidnapping the crown prince. The attendant is convinced she's so obsessed that she's eloping with him to ruin the kingdom. She tries to tell them she's a great rider and everything is fine. But the prince isn't worried about that. He's having a crisis because a woman is holding the reins while he, the crown prince, is just a passenger. How embarrassing. Our girl smirks, understanding his bruised ego. She tells him to hold on tight, and then she just jumps. In a jaw-droppingly smooth move, she lands perfectly behind him, telling him to turn around and fall into her arms so he can take the reins. He does, completely flustered and now cradled in her embrace. He's utterly speechless. "What's wrong, Your Highness?" she teases, loving every second of this. All he can manage is a blushing "You liar." She just smiles, completely satisfied with her power move. Their guards can only watch in secondhand embarrassment, feeling sorry for their pure, innocent prince being teased so relentlessly. Meanwhile, back at the imperial palace, the villains are celebrating their supposed victory. The usurper prince is promising generous rewards to his co-conspirator, Lord Gongni. But when the prince mentions rewards, Lord Gongni's face twitches. He quickly plasters on a fake smile, but his eyes are full of treachery. Back with our heroes, they sneak into a town under the cover of night, planning to cross to the port on the other side. But their attendant freaks out, hearing a sound and immediately thinking it's more of the living dead. A girl rolls her eyes, asking him if he's ever heard a zombie cry before. It's a small child weeping for his lost parents. Her tough exterior melts as she kneels to comfort the boy. He sobs that the local government arrested his mom and dad. The prince notices this town seems untouched by the plague and sends his men to investigate while he takes the kid to the government office. As they walk, he mutters about his plans to crush the traitors, before turning to our girl and demanding to know why she's following him. She glares at him, absolutely done with his nonsense. "You think I want to be here?" she snaps, reminding him of the magical leash she's on. Suddenly, they hear pained groans coming from inside the building, and they both freeze in shock. Before they can react, the little boy grabs the prince's leg, calling him dad, then grabs our girl's hand and calls her mom. The two of them are completely stunned, wondering what on earth this kid is trying to pull. The little boy points confidently at the door, telling them his parents are right inside. Our girl tells the boys to stay put while she handles this. Ugh, this stupid 9-meter distance limit is such a pain in the neck. She gives the door a good knock, but is met with complete silence. Looks like nobody's home. Mr. Tall, dark, and annoying suggests they just climb the wall, but our girl refuses to look like a common thief. He suddenly grabs her shoulder, getting way too close for comfort. She immediately whips out a dagger, not playing any games, and he has the audacity to act surprised, thinking she's trying to kill him for rejecting her proposal. Oh, please get over yourself. She coolly informs him she's just opening the door. He smirks, picking the lock himself since she's so concerned about being decent. With the door open, he gestures her in with a mock bow, the sarcasm practically dripping from his voice. She tells him to cut it out. Even the little boy points out that breaking and entering isn't much better than climbing the walls. Our girl just smirks, saying this way at least satisfied someone's ego, throwing a pointed look right at him. He is not having it, grabbing her chin and threatening to shut her up himself. The little boy's eyes go wide, piping up, "Are you gonna shut her mouth with your mouth, just like my dad does to my mom?" The man immediately lets go, flustered, while our girl playfully pinches the boy's cheek for his chaotic commentary. That's when they notice something's off. The lights are on, but the entire place is deserted. Suddenly, our heroine catches a strange scent in the air. He recognizes it as medicinal herbs, and they decide to investigate. They sneak around to the backyard and find a bunch of doctors brewing something in the middle of the night. This is definitely not your average late-night tea party. Our girl's eyes widen in realization. It's the smell of datura flower, the main ingredient for knockout drops. He's stunned, but she quickly explains that she only knows this because her family are renowned doctors. He finally puts two and two together. She's Su Jianyu, the daughter of the famous doctor, Su. She strikes a pose, confirming her identity with a flourish. But instead of being impressed, he immediately draws his sword, accusing her of being one of his rival's people. Our girl scoffs at the idea, going on a full-blown rant about their ridiculous arranged marriage and how she, a modern woman, will never recognize such an outdated tradition. Just as their drama is reaching its peak, they're interrupted by guards demanding to know who's trespassing. While this is awkward, they're completely surrounded. The head sergeant recognizes the little boy from earlier, but he's utterly baffled by the scene. Why is the man holding a sword to the woman's throat if they're supposedly together? The poor guy is having a meltdown, trying to figure out their relationship status. He finally clears his throat and demands to know who sent them. But our girl is having none of it and just yells, "Shut up," at the man holding her hostage. He completely ignores the guards and continues his interrogation, demanding to know if his rivals sent her. The sergeant is absolutely fuming at being ignored and orders his men to attack. Our girl sighs, telling her fiancé they should probably team up against the actual enemies for now. The sergeant explodes with rage at their casual attitude, but our girl just gives a chilling smile and says, "No. It is you who are surrounded by me," she declares, unleashing a torrent of flames. The guards freak out, screaming about witchcraft as fire engulfs the yard. Even her supposed enemy looks on, impressed by her power. But the fire was just a distraction. A strange narcotic smoke begins to fill the air. He whips around, furious. "You knew this was knockout gas. Why didn't you warn us to hold our breath?" He yells, quickly covering the boy's face. She just gives a cheeky grin. "I only figured it out after I smelled it," she lies, later admitting she was totally messing with him on purpose. But her teasing is cut short, as the knockout drops finally hit her. Through her hazy vision, she sees monstrous figures roaring from inside a cave. She stumbles back in horror, falling right into his arms. And of course, he uses this moment to be a smug jerk, accusing her of trying to scam him by falling on him. She pushes him away, standing up and firing back. "Did I bump into you, or did you just use that as an excuse to catch me?" The crown prince is absolutely livid, his eyes promising a world of pain. But his rage is drowned out by the horrifying roars echoing from the prison cells. A smug-looking official appears, gloating that the narcotic smoke he used must have given them a nice sleep. He and his weaselly advisor stroll in, completely unbothered by the chaos. And surprise, surprise, our heroes are locked in a cell with the living dead just a few feet away, while this pig of an official calls our girl a rude B-word for looking at him. But our girl isn't one to be intimidated, firing back with some great sass. The official puffs up his chest, warning her not to talk to him like that. He threatens to make her suffer for her insolence. "Big mistake, buddy." She reaches right through the bars, grabs his head and smashes it into the metal. "Sorry," she says sweetly, "you were a little far away, I couldn't hear you clearly." Now that she has his full attention, she gives him a terrifying grin and asks him to repeat himself. The man squeals, crying about how she dares to beat an official of the imperial court. His little weasel of an advisor chimes in, asking if she has a death wish. She responds by pressing the official's face even harder against the bars, a move of pure, unadulterated savagery. The advisor immediately changes his tune, trying to calm her down by saying she isn't technically beating him. Even the crown prince has to step in, telling her to let go so they can get some information out of these clowns. The advisor fusses over his bruised lord, but the official is still screaming his head off about the semantics of being beaten. For his troubles, he gets a massive slap right across the face from his own subordinate. But the guy just won't shut up, continuing to hurl insults at our heroine. That's when they notice a small child curled up on the floor. The poor boy wakes up to the sound of roaring, only to see his own parents turned into monsters behind the bars. He cries out for his mom and dad, but our girl immediately yells for him to stay away. She snatches the crying child, holding him back as he struggles to get to his zombified parents. She has to break the devastating news to him. Those things are no longer his family. The crown prince has had enough of these treacherous officials, calling them out for harming the people they're paid to protect. The fat official just scoffs, laughing at their predicament, and cackling about the many ways he can kill them. But then the crown prince unleashes a glare so powerful it makes their legs feel weak. The official trembles, feeling like he's staring down a furious dragon. His advisor urges him to leave, saying they'll soon become living dead anyway. The official grins wickedly, revealing his plan to use them to develop the elixir of life. The crown prince is shocked. Our girl holds the small crying child, her mind racing as she puts the horrible pieces together. These absolute lunatics are turning people into zombies because they think it's the secret to immortality. The crown prince scoffs at the very idea, pointing out that countless kings have died chasing such foolish dreams. He can't believe a petty official would harbor such an unrealistic fantasy. Our girl is actually impressed, thinking it's a blessing to have such a level-headed crown prince. The sweet little boy, thinking she's a real immortal, begs her to save his parents, even offering her his candy. Our heroine's heart melts on the spot and she makes him a promise. The boy's face lights up with pure joy, and he asks for a pinky promise to seal the deal. It's a moment of pure sweetness in this house of horrors. The crown prince notices her hesitation and gently scolds her for giving the boy false hope. But our girl thinks he's actually pretty caring under that cold exterior. She tells him that sometimes a white lie is a form of protection and she'll handle it. Just then, more roars erupt as guards struggle to restrain one of the living dead. The guards are in a panic, trying to pour knockout drops down a zombie's throat, but the thing is just too strong. Our girl can't help but mock them, asking which genius thought knockout drops would work on the undead. The head guard is not amused. He sneers, revealing they know our heroes have discovered their secret lab, and pulls out a sword, ready to silence them for good. The crown prince glares, warning him not to even think about it. The guard, high on his own power, laughs in their faces. He grabs the crown prince by the collar, calling him a toy boy. And in a moment of pure, unadulterated karma, he accidentally stabs himself with his own blade. The crown prince just watches, deadpan. What a show. The guard starts screaming his lungs out. Our girl decides it's the perfect time to make their exit. The prison is filled with the sounds of panic screaming, as the remaining guards lose their minds. The advisor, desperate to save his own skin, gets a bright idea. He grabs the keys and unlocks their cell, telling them to leave, clearly planning to frame them for the whole mess. But our girl is way ahead of him. Just as he's about to lock the door behind them, she slams it shut in his face. The guard is stunned. "I'm not that naive," she says with a smirk. She lays out his entire plan, calling him out on his pathetic attempt to pin the blame on them. The guard is completely shook. He can't believe she saw right through him. The sergeant begs for his life, but he's pleading with the wrong man. The guard just sneers, "Help you? You're a goner," as he jingles the keys, boasting that he can make up any story he wants once the prisoner is dead. And to add insult to injury, he stomps right on the poor man's hand. With a flick of his wrist, he unleashes hell itself. A horde of the living dead pours out from the cells, roaring with hunger. The guard makes a run for it, cackling like a madman that he's released all the living dead and can now pin the blame on anyone he chooses. But his little zombie apocalypse has caused a bit of a traffic jam, trapping our girl and the crown prince inside the prison. The young boy with them trembles, realizing they can't get out. The crown prince, ever the detective, puts two and two together. He accuses our girl of deliberately provoking the sergeant, all so she could fake their deaths. He lays out her entire plan. By pretending to be zombie chow, they could operate freely later. He demands to know her next move, but our girl just gives him a smug little smile. That's because she's got a system, baby. A massive wall-demolishing hammer is purchased, and with a thunderous boom, she creates her own exit. She casually tells the stunned prince to stop talking to himself and get a move on. He's left completely speechless, staring at the glowing weapon in her hands. All he can think is that her brother was right. She is one tough woman. Meanwhile, in another part of town, some very shady business is going down. A group of corrupt officials celebrate the creation of the elixir of life. These absolute ghouls have been rounding up plague victims in secret, using their flesh and blood to cook up this supposed immortality potion. The head alchemist holds up the pill, asking who wants to be the first to live forever. But suddenly, everyone gets a little shy, realizing that no one's actually tested this thing to see if it's, poison. Little do they know they have an audience on the rooftop. Our girl and the prince have heard every last twisted word, and she is absolutely disgusted. With a look of pure, cold fury, she declares her new plan: let's just kill them all. Just then, the coward sergeant bursts in, screaming that something's gone wrong. He frantically reports that the damn couple escaped and unleashed the living dead. The fat lord is furious, but still rewards the bumbling guard with the freshly made elixir. Without a second thought, the idiot pops the pill into his mouth. He then tries to take charge, saying they need to deal with the zombies. But before he can finish his sentence, the roof explodes. Our power couple makes a dramatic entrance, ready to crash the party. And our girl came prepared. She whips out a pistol with a devilish grin, announcing she brought the zombies right to their doorstep. With a few shots, she blows a hole right through the ceiling. She stands there in absolute vision of chaotic beauty and says, "You are welcome." The sergeant can't believe his eyes, stammering about how they are still alive and what that fire-spurting stick is. His questions are cut short as the living dead begin pouring into the room. The fat lord immediately turns on his subordinate, kicking him for his incompetence. Our girl, ever the problem solver, just buys another gadget from her system, a grapnel gun, as she leans in close to the prince and fires it straight up, whisking them away from the chaos. "Hold tight," she says with a wink. The prince is completely shook as she pulls him close, zipping them up to the roof. He stumbles on the landing, letting out a less than princely scream. She teases him, asking if he's worried because her aggressive competence is making him look like a weak little boy. She snatches her gun back from him as he blushes. "Don't act like a know-it-all," he grumbles. Then, in a shocking power move, he grabs her and leaps off the building. Turns out the prince can fly. He's not about to be outdone by our girl's cool gadgets. She can only roll her eyes, thinking he's acting like a childish boy who can't stand to be at a disadvantage. As they soar over the chaos, she suddenly spots the little boy from the prison, surrounded and crying for his parents. The zombies are closing in fast. She immediately struggles, telling the prince she has to save him. He holds her back, insisting it's a suicide mission. She tenderly touches his face, a soft look in her eyes. Before it hardens into pure steel, she grabs him by the collar, seething, "What do you mean I can't save him?" With a powerful tug, she pulls him down with her. "You have to go with me," she yells as they plummet towards the horde. Total freaking chaos. She goes in, guns blazing, clearing a path as they fall. She lands on a zombie's head with enough force to snap its neck, a true warrior queen. She gracefully leaps down, landing right in front of the terrified child. The boy can only stare in awe. She spends another 100 points on a fire blade, telling the kid to get behind her if he wants to live. Just as a zombie lunges for the boy's back, the crown prince lands like a guardian angel, blocking the attack. "Go on," he says calmly, "stay with her." The little one salutes smartly, completely loyal to his new master. Meanwhile, the cowardly officials are running for their lives, screaming for someone to protect them. Our girl has had enough of this pathetic display and delivers a well-deserved slap, calling him the most shameless man she's ever seen. She's been given a new weapon, a so-called fire blade. But she's not impressed, calling it totally useless since she doesn't have the points to activate its power. The remaining officials have surrounded the so-called priest, begging him to use his magic to stop the living dead. But the crowd is getting suspicious, and they start to wonder if this guy is just a massive fraud. Their suspicion quickly turns to rage, as they threaten to kill him themselves before the zombies get a chance. The priest is sweating absolute bullets, thinking he just wanted to scam some money and get out. In a moment of pure chaotic desperation, he points at the magistrate and claims he holds the elixir of life. He tells the crowd that eating his flesh will grant them immunity. The magistrate is horrified, but the greedy crowd immediately turns on him. They descend upon him like vultures, screaming that the elixir's power must be shared with everyone. The man can only let out a blood-curdling scream as his own people tear him apart. It's a brutal, bloody scene. The priest who started it all can only watch in horror, wondering how humanity could be so fickle and cruel. Our girl looks on grimly, observing that humans can be far more monstrous than any plague. The officials are now in a feeding frenzy, literally fighting over the scraps of their former leader. One of them, his face covered in blood, just laughs maniacally, saying they're not afraid anymore because soon everyone will be one of the living dead. But from the shadows, our girl steps forward, a deadly glint in her eyes. "Do you really think so?" Suddenly, the sky is filled with the sound of whistling arrows. The volley rains down, striking the cannibalistic mob with deadly precision. Reinforcements have arrived. Soldiers pour into the courtyard, apologizing to their highness for being late. And leading them is none other than the dashing young Kyan Liu. The crown prince looks at our girl, surprised, and asks how they knew to come. She smirks, revealing she sent a messenger eagle to summon them the moment she realized how dire the situation was. She turns to the last remaining corrupt official, asking if he remembers his earlier treasonous words. The man is absolutely thunderstruck, realizing he just threatened the crown prince. He collapses in a heap, knowing he's completely screwed. But then a spark of delusional hope ignites. He decides this must be an imposter, and besides, they're all immortal now thanks to the elixir. He calls her bluff, screaming that they are immortals now and have no reason to fear the crown prince. He pathetically begs her not to resort to violence. Our girl gives him a chillingly beautiful smile. Indeed, she says, but it simply makes me feel good. Just then, the chained-up infected begin to roar. A little boy sees his parents among the captured and runs towards them, crying out. The corrupt official sees his chance, praising the priest for the distraction. He snatches the poor child, threatening our girl to drop her weapon or the boy dies. The monster holds the crying child up like a trophy. Our girl drops her weapons and gives him a slow, sarcastic clap. He mocks her, reveling in his momentary victory while the little boy begs to be let go. As the villain promises to reunite the boy with his parents, our girl gives the signal. Yun Kai and Liu get the bow ready. He tosses her the bow and she catches her sword. She calls the official a cocky bastard. In a move that defies all logic and gravity, she balances on the bowstring and notches her sword like an arrow. If I let you off this time, she declares, you might start to deem yourself something. The sword arrow flies true, piercing straight through the official's chest. The other officials are outraged, screaming that she just broke the law by killing a government official. But the crown prince steps forward, his voice like ice. The law. The law is made by the king, he says with absolute authority, and I am the one who is about to be enthroned. I gave her permission. Anyone who has an objection shall die. The official's body twitches on the ground. Incredibly, he starts to stand up, the sword still embedded in his chest. His lackeys are ecstatic, taking this as proof that they've all become immortal and are destined to become the new rulers. Our girl simply yanks her sword out of his back. Are you guys still daydreaming? She asks. Open your eyes, he's become a living dead man. And to prove her point, she holds up his freshly severed and very zombified head. The remaining officials finally see the horrifying truth. They fall to their knees in despair, realizing their dream of immortality was just a fast track to becoming a monster. Our girl looks down on them with contempt. You're just mortals, you shouldn't dream about things that don't belong to you. Then a flame ignites in the palm of her hand. But the snake oil priest isn't done yet. He slithers forward, claiming he knows how to save them. He spouts some absolute nonsense about yin and yang and points a shaking finger at our girl. If you eat her, he shrieks, the yin and yang will be balanced and you will all become immortals. Yun Kai and Liu is disgusted, but the crown prince simply states, he is the evilest villain here, no need to say I feel. This completely unprompted grammar lesson in the middle of a zombie apocalypse just confuses everyone. Done with the utter foolishness, the crown prince gives a simple order, dig a pit and bury this idiot here. His soldiers immediately seize the fraudulent priest. But it's too late. The other officials, their minds broken, begin to transform, their eyes glowing red as they chant immortal. Their last shred of humanity gone, they turn as one towards our girl, their new goal terrifyingly clear. Eat her so that we'll become immortals. The man can't believe his eyes, seething about how these idiots fell for the con artist scam. But our girl sees it for what it is. People desperately chasing a fantasy that doesn't exist. Suddenly, the royal guards line up, ready to charge on command. She quickly realizes that all those weapons are pointed directly at her. Stepping forward like the absolute queen she is, she tells her companions to stand down, declaring, let me handle this alone. The crowd goes absolutely feral, chanting for her death so they can become immortal. Our girl is completely unfazed. Sorry, she deadpans, I can't help you with that. But can send you to heaven. And then she pulls out a freaking gun, blasting the lead fanatic into the afterlife. While the crowd panics, the scam artist who started it all makes a run for it, cackling about how easy it is to fool these morons. He thinks he is home free, but a voice calls out to him as a futuristic shape pulls up alongside him. The old man's jaw drops. It's our girl on a high-tech motorcycle, easily keeping pace. He immediately starts groveling, begging her to spare him and let him disappear as if he never existed. Our girl gives him a chilling smile. I can only fulfill half of your wish, she says. Before he can even ask what she means, she swings her sword with savage grace. She's not sparing him, she's just granting his wish to no longer exist in this world. But the chaos isn't over. The other guards have captured a man and woman, and their son watches in horror, screaming for his parents. A cold-hearted noblewoman orders their execution. The man is frozen in shock, trying to shield the little boy from the terrible sight. With a sickening finality, the guards execute the couple right in front of their son. The man turns to our heroine, desperately calling her Miss Immortal. But she's as cold as ice. Useless mercy is hypocrisy, she states flatly. She explains that prolonging their suffering would only have traumatized the boy more. But the little boy, Mayan, doesn't understand. He grabs her leg, sobbing and screaming that she's a liar who promised to save them. His tiny fists beat against her as he cries, and our girl's heart just breaks. Using her system points, she projects a hologram of his parents into the sky. The boy looks up and sees them whole and smiling. He cries out their names in pure joy and runs towards the beautiful illusion. The onlookers can't believe their eyes, wondering what kind of magic this is. Our girl explains that death is real, but the living need hope to move on. Mayan reaches for his mother, but his hand passes right through the light. He asks if they are sick, and the projections of his parents give him a sad, loving smile. They tell him he's a big boy now and that they have to go far away, so he must learn to be strong on his own. The little boy breaks down completely, begging them not to leave him, reaching for them as they fade into particles of light. All that's left is the empty night sky. Our girl kneels down, telling Mayan his parents wanted him to take care of what they cherished most. What is it? He asks through his tears. She gently boops his nose. It's you little fool. She asks him if he has anything to say. The boy looks up, his eyes full of a wisdom no child should have. You don't have to lie to me, he whispers. I know they're never coming back. He then hands her the lotus seeds he promised her, fulfilling his end of the bargain. She apologizes for deceiving him, but he shakes his head. No, you didn't lie. He looks at the stars, choosing to believe in a beautiful fantasy. Dad and Mom were saved. They turned into stars in the sky. He smiles, repeating the mantra, immortals will never lie. She hugs him close, echoing his words, but thinking to herself, but I'm not an immortal. The two of them just stand there, holding onto a lie that feels kinder than the truth. Later at the port, the Crown Prince's deputy confirms he's found a good family to take Mayan in. Then this absolute fool gets a bright idea and asks our girl if her magic can find him a wife. She gives him a death glare and tells him to get lost. Undeterred, he turns to the prince, suggesting they should have just adopted the kid. The prince reminds him they're literally on the run from assassins. But the deputy argues that our girl could handle it and even tries to push the prince into fatherhood. The prince's patience finally snaps, and he sarcastically asks when his deputy also became his royal matchmaker, which is enough to make the poor guy tremble in fear. Back at the imperial palace, the new rulers are plotting. An informant kneels before them, reporting that they've found the crown prince and he's with Dr. Su's daughter. The new king absolutely loses it, ordering the dragon army to bring them back alive or dead. But the queen is far more cunning, telling him to wait. She has a different plan, one that involves summoning the grand tutor. She's got a truly wicked smile on her face. The king is confused, pointing out that the grand tutor is loyal to the crown prince. But the queen lays out her scheme. They just need to convince everyone that our girl, Su Jianyu, killed the former king. She gets all up in his personal space, whispering that if the crown prince receives a letter saying his new girlfriend killed his dad, well, guess what will happen? He's completely smitten by her evil genius plan, and the two of them share a villainous laugh. Meanwhile, somewhere else, the newly appointed county magistrate is huffing and puffing. He's bummed that he missed the crown prince and our girl, but he's also got a bigger problem. Vicious robbers who don't want money or women, they only abduct men. Legend says their leader is partial to male hearts, yikes. Speaking of kidnappers, the crown prince is interrogating one of his own. The woman claims she couldn't have been sent by Lord Gongni because she's the one who killed Princess Changning. Then she tries to get all seductive, telling His Highness to come closer so she can whisper secrets. But the party is crashed by a red-headed rogue who immediately points out the crown prince as the leader. Take him down, he yells. It's a full-blown ambush. The guards scramble to protect the prince as the bandits charge in. Our girl's companion tells her to go for the leader. If she can capture him, the prince will be safe. The bandit leader just scoffs, telling our girl to stay aside. He won't fight a woman, declaring this a battle between men. He gets even more dramatic, warning her that gentlemen don't fight women and she better not push him. This guy is sweating bullets just looking at her, and his inner monologue reveals the truth. He's been terrified of women since he was a kid and is worried his men will laugh at him. But our girl has bigger problems. Her system suddenly alerts her that she's too far from the crown prince and activates a compulsory halt mechanism. Before she can react, her body is launched directly into the arms of the terrified bandit leader. He thinks she's discovered his weakness and is using it against him, while she's internally screaming at her stupid system. She goes for a kick to get away, but he dodges, smugly saying the same trick won't work twice. She loses her balance and goes flying backward, her only thought being how strong his chest felt. But just as she's about to hit the ground, the crown prince swoops in for a perfect bridal-style catch. The bandit leader is completely stunned, wondering if she's some kind of immoral. He is blushing up a storm. Yun Qianliu pops up to tell the leader that our girl is so powerful she must have internal injuries from the fight. The bandit leader is just confused why he's talking instead of fighting. And Yun Qianliu has a moment of realization. Oh yeah, he was supposed to be blindsiding the guy, not chatting with him. The crown prince, meanwhile, wants to know why she just randomly jumped into his arms mid-battle. She plays it cool, claiming she was just trying to help and that the system would have knocked her out otherwise. And then in a moment of pure chaos, she starts screaming for help, claiming the prince is harassing her. He's so done with her antics, but she just smirks, knowing that as long as it works, who cares? The bandit leader is completely fooled. yelling that men from the Great Ju Kingdom have no morals and ordering his men to save the girl. The prince is just standing there in utter disbelief. With the fight over and the robbers all tied up, our girl starts putting the pieces together. These guys didn't want money and their leader refused to fight her. He's probably not a bad guy. She realizes they aren't criminals at all. The leader admits his men are just new recruits. The crown prince notes their strength and strange accents, comparing them to foreign tribes from the border. And just when you think things are settling down, our girl grabs Yun Kai and Liu and holds a knife to his throat. With her hostage secured, our girl shoots a confident wink at the handsome stranger. The crown prince decides to just roll with this chaotic energy for now. Meanwhile, the redhead's buddy is having some serious doubts, whispering, "Boss, I think the woman we saved is the real villain here." The redhead, completely misunderstanding the situation, thought our girl and her hostage were a couple. But she quickly realizes the system dressed her and the prince in matching outfits on purpose. The redhead tries to flirt, saying he doesn't mind the misunderstanding, which just sends him into a flustered chibai panic. He tries to play it cool and tells his men to retreat. But our girl claps back with a savage, "I'm not afraid, but you look terrified of me." He puffs out his chest, declaring they're from the Great Ju Kingdom and they won't give in. So she puts the pieces together. They're not just random river robbers, are they? He vehemently denies it, getting way too close for comfort. She tells him to back off, and she can't help but wonder if this tough guy is actually afraid of women. Suddenly, a noise from the cabin breaks the tension. She demands to know if more of his people are hiding inside. He stammers that some of his men just weren't feeling well. But our girl's intuition is screaming, this was supposed to be the safest place, and now it feels like a death trap. And her gut was right because the men stumbling out of the cabin are not okay. The redhead and his friend look on in horror as their comrades shamble forward, groaning. "Boss, they look a bit weird," his friend says, stating the obvious. The zombies immediately zero in on the crown prince. The ever-loyal hostage leaps to protect his highness, but immediately trips on his own feet. He face-plants right in front of a zombie girl, screaming, "Are you trying to kiss a living dead girl?" Before he can become zombie chow, our girl yanks him back by his collar. She leans in close, teasing, "I just saved your first kiss, cutie, how are you gonna thank me?" But the romantic moment is cut short by a furious roar as the zombie girl lunges straight for her. Our girl is more than ready, summoning a magnificent flaming sword. The redhead is shocked, but she calmly tells him she's going to save them. With a single swift motion, she slices through a zombie. She explains that they're already dead and she's just setting their bodies free. He's confused, shouting that they're still moving. "Do you think they're alive just because they're moving?" she asks, clearly done with his nonsense. To prove her point, she stabs another one right through the chest. But the creature doesn't even flinch. The redhead trembles. Why did it become like this? She lays down the terrifying truth, if you get bitten, you become one of them. And the only way to survive is to destroy their skulls. As she powers up for a final blow, the crown prince suddenly grabs her blade, his hand bleeding. "Let go," he growls, "stop being a merciful coward, you'll get everyone killed." But before she can react, the redhead snatches the sword from her grasp. He declares that no one from the Waxy clan is a coward and charges toward the horde, ready to face his fallen kinsmen. With tears in his eyes, he vows to be the one to help them rest in peace. Suddenly, the system dings with a new mission, tough man's tears, get away now or die. Our girl is furious at the system's chaotic timing and its terrible sense of humor. She can't possibly run. The mission requires her to stay within 9 meters of the crown prince. Her only choice is to persuade the grieving redhead to let them leave. She decides a little physical persuasion is in order and caresses his face. He is not having it, angrily telling her not to mess with him. But our girl turns on the charm, her voice dripping with fake sympathy. "Seeing your tears has broken my heart." She plops the crown prince down like a doll and asks the redhead to tell her everything. Propping her foot on the prince's knee like a total queen, she promises to bring them justice. This finally gets the redhead's attention. "Wait, did you just say he's the crown prince?" His friend immediately reminds him of his mother's warning, never trust a beautiful woman. The redhead glares, his trust completely gone. "Why should I believe you? Prove it," he demands. Our girl just shoots a sly look at the prince, who is absolutely fuming. "What are you doing?" he snaps, "Get off my shoulder now." Ignoring his protest completely, she reaches right into his robes. The prince flushes a deep crimson, sputtering like a flustered maiden. "Stop, how dare you take such liberties with me, you're going too far." But our girl just smirks, pulling a golden token right out of his robes. "Don't panic, your highness, I was just looking for this. Sorry, am I disappointing you?" He's left absolutely speechless. She holds the token high for all to see, her voice ringing with triumph. "This is the proof. The man before you is the crown prince of the Great Ju Kingdom." The bandits are completely floored. He's the crown prince, she wasn't lying. Our girl turns to their red-headed leader with a savage grin. "I bet your mom is beautiful too. Has she ever lied to you?" And this absolute himbo falls for it hook, line, and sinker. "That makes sense. Mom is beautiful and she's never lied to me." His poor subordinate can only facepalm in despair. The bandit's friend starts ranting about how the king refused to see them and kicked them out of the palace. He even calls the king a bastard, claiming the son can't be any better. This, of course, triggers the prince's filial piety button. How dare you humiliate his majesty, you shall be executed. But our girl is putting the pieces together. When did you guys visit the king? She asks. The bandit leader replies, about 3 months ago, and you can see the gears turning in her head. She remembers everything. She was locked up 3 months ago, right after her own father was summoned to the palace. They executed him for failing to save the king. And after that, no one was allowed to see his majesty except for one person. Maybe the king didn't refuse to see you, she explains calmly. Maybe he just couldn't. The bandit is confused, so she lays out the horrifying truth. His majesty had probably been turned into a living dead man by then. The image of a zombified king chained to his bed flashes through her mind. The prince is outraged. Nonsense, my father summoned me to the capital just half a month ago. The bandits start to doubt her again, but the prince asks a critical question. Then did you see your father in the flesh after you got back? She turns to him and with deadly precision asks, how did you know I didn't see him in the flesh? She plays it off with a nervous giggle, oh, just a lucky guess. But inside, she's sweating bullets. How could you see him? I bumped into you right after I killed him in the palace, what rotten luck. Just as she's having an internal meltdown about her chaotic life choices, a loud clang shakes the entire boat. Everyone stumbles, wondering what just happened. The bandit leader yells that they've run aground on a hidden rock. But as the ships pile up, our girl knows better. This wasn't an accident, someone blocked the canal on purpose. And then they hear it, a horrifying roar echoes from the shore. Our girl's face pales, oh no. The crown prince's expression turns grim, and she immediately draws her dagger, ready for whatever is coming. From the darkness, they emerge. A horde of the living dead roaring as they shamble forward. Our girl curses the system. Damn it, I thought it wanted me to deal with robbers, but it wanted me to escape the asterisk canal asterisk. The prince grabs her arm, run before it's too late. But he stops, unable to abandon his captured soldiers. His men plead with him to save himself, the cornerstone of the kingdom. The prince turns to her resolute. I won't leave, you can escape alone. And in that moment, our girl sees the heart of a true king. But her system has other plans. If you don't come with me, I can only walk 9 more meters. So she makes him a deal. Go and tie them, I'll buy you some time, but when I'm done, you're coming with me conscious or not. He looks stunned for a second, before she launches herself into the fray. She starts counting to buy him time, but her numbers are, a little weird, 250. The bandit leader rallies his men to help her, because there's no way they are depending on her counting skills to survive this. He screams, do you even know how to count? She smirks internally. The pronunciation is more complicated, which means it buys the prince more time. A truly savage and brilliant tactic. The prince unties his men, looking totally moved. But their problems are multiplying as more boats filled with the living dead block their path. We have to go now, she yells. The prince returns, having freed his soldiers. Everyone jump into the river and swim to the bank. But there's one tiny problem. The big tough bandit leader is sweating profusely. Oh, I don't know how to swim. He admits he's never told anyone, afraid of being laughed at. He tries to play it tough, insisting he's not scared of anything. Right before a zombie roars in his face and he shrieks like a child. Just as he's about to become zombie chow, 2 hands grab his. It's our girl and the prince, a united front. We'll get you out of here, she promises. The prince grins. Actually, I'm the one who will get asterisk you guys asterisk out of here. And with a mighty leap, he pulls them both off the ship, flying through the air as the zombies roar below. With a swift escape, the system dings, congratulating our girl on ditching the zombies and earning a cool 100 points. The 3 of them make a run for it, hand in hand like a chaotic little kindergarten class. The rough-and-tumble redhead, Venus Khan, is having a full-blown internal crisis because he's holding a girl's hand. He's been scared of women his whole life, but he realizes with a shock that she doesn't seem so scary after. He can't help but stare at this strange, powerful woman. But their moment is interrupted by the horrifying roars from the water behind them. The living dead are not giving up that easily. Our girl has had enough of this nonsense. You want to follow me? Fine, she declares, a ball of fire erupting in her hand. The crown prince's attendant is baffled, asking how she plans to make fire burn on water. Oh, sweet summer child, you're about to get a lesson. She spends a few points on some gasoline from her system, and just like that, the river is ablaze. The zombies are cooked alive, screaming in the inferno. The attendant's jaw hits the floor, utterly stunned. Our girl just smirks. This is science boy dropping a knowledge bomb about gasoline floating on water. He's left completely speechless, a confused little chibai trying to process this magic. Venus Khan's man suddenly recognizes her power, exclaiming that she's the one who conjured fire during the sacrificial ritual. This sends Venus into a deep flashback about the former high priestess. He remembers her last moments as she told him her time had come. He begged her not to leave them, but she urged him to be the one to guide the clan now that she was gone. Her dying wish was for him to find his moon, his soulmate, before her hand went limp. He explains to our heroine that the high priestess raised him after his parents died. His subordinate gets a brilliant, if not slightly insane idea. Boss, she smells just like the high priestess and can control fire. Let's take her back and make her our NEW high priestess. Meanwhile, our girl gets a system notification that her fire secret art has leveled up. She realizes she can now absorb fire secret crystals, which is a neat new skill. Suddenly, the crown prince appears behind her, coolly stating, "I knew you were a secret art master." Our girl freezes, wondering how in the world he knew. Thinking he's after her loot, she reluctantly offers him one of her crystals. He scoffs at the tiny offering. "Do you think I'm a beggar?" But then he softens, telling her to relax. He won't take what she earned by killing all those zombies. She turns away, a little flustered by his weirdly noble attitude. Then, in a moment of pure chaotic energy, she spins back around and yells, "Give IT back then." The crown prince is unfazed, a sly grin spreading across his face as he says, "You gave it to me voluntarily." A new day dawns as they find themselves near a village nestled in the mountains. Since the canal is now blocked by a wall of fire and roasted zombies, Venus Khan invites them to stay the night. His men chime in, saying it's the least they can do. The prince's attendant isn't buying it, whispering to his highness that something feels very fishy. As they enter the village, Venus is greeted warmly as boss by a crowd of people. Later that night, around a campfire, our girl points out that these villagers dress differently from his tribe. He admits they aren't his people, they're commoners they kidnapped to work the land. He hands her a bowl of soup, explaining that the people chose to stay because of the kingdom's crushing taxes. Life here, despite being technically kidnapped, is apparently better. The villagers agree, but mention they can't bring their families over, so they have to sneak food back to them. Our girl observes Venus and concludes he must have a severe case of gynophobia. The prince's attendant, however, is having a full-blown panic attack, thinking these two handsome leaders are definitely going to fight over him. The crown prince sits quietly, contemplating the heavy taxes and the suffering of his people, realizing he must enact reforms. One of the villagers happily comments on how good the soup smells, asking where they caught the boar. The cook replies it was just a domestic pig they found wandering by the riverbank. Another man adds that it was surprisingly hard to catch for a domestic animal. A domestic pig, by the river filled with zombies. The realization hits our girl like a ton of bricks and her bowl crashes to the ground. She leaps to her feet in terror, screaming, "Throw your bowls away." Far away in Kingtown, the situation is just as dire. A ruthless commander of the Dragoon army is executing anyone accused of helping the crown prince. This is Loong Yuning, and she demands to know where he is or everyone dies. She turns her cold eyes on a small, sobbing child. Her voice turns sickly sweet as she tries to coax the information out of him. But when the boy stays silent, her facade shatters. She grabs him by the throat, threatening to snap his little neck. An official begs her to stop, pleading that he's just a child. She glares at him with pure contempt, and he sputters that she has no right. With a wicked grin, she dares him to do something, taunting him to bite her. The official, bless his brave and foolish heart, actually does it, chomping down on her arm with all his might. He refuses to let go, even as she dangles the choking child in her other hand. Back at the camp, our girl is in a frenzy, shouting, "Don't eat this," as she kicks the entire cauldron of soup into the fire. The villagers are furious, calling her a rude shrew for wasting their food. Venus Khan just watches her, his expression unreadable. "How many of you drank the soup?" she demands, her voice trembling. "Those ships, they were filled with zombies." The prince's attendant quickly confirms their group didn't touch it. Venus says his tribesmen didn't eat either, but the villagers already had their fill. Our girl snatches an empty bowl from one of the villagers. The man scoffs, "You can take it, shrew, I already finished it anyway." She looks at him not with anger but with profound pity and says three chilling words, "You're doomed." The villagers begin to twist and contort, their bodies breaking as the curse takes off. Seeing the red-haired warrior hesitate, our girl hands him a sword. With a heavy heart, she guides his hand, forcing him to make the first move and put one of his former people out of their misery. "Now you've killed one," she says, her voice cold as steel. She tells him to get it together, too many villagers are turning and she can't do this alone. The newly turned zombies let out a horrific roar and the warrior trembles, unable to strike again. The crown prince's aide explains that the man is hesitating because these were his people, after all. The aide swoons, thinking how gentle his highness is for understanding, but the warrior is in no mood for comfort. The prince, however, is completely over it, snapping at his aide to go help our girl instead of fawning over him. Restraining his absolute fury at being dismissed, the aide orders his men to move out and assist Miss Sue. He leads the charge, looking every bit the loyal commander. His soldiers murmur amongst themselves that the beautiful Miss Immortal obviously belongs to their prince. But the warrior's friends are having a different debate. One insists she'll join their tribe, not the prince's. His companion is shocked hours. He's completely delusional, convinced she'll be so impressed by their Khan that she'll volunteer to be their high priestess. Meanwhile, a tragic flashback reveals an old man pushing his son to safety, shoving the boy away from the chaos. The man turns to face the danger, vowing that he will never let anyone else hurt his child. Elsewhere, a fierce female warrior remembers her father's brutal lesson. Back in the present, the village elder confesses he was going to take the remaining elixirs to the court as evidence. He feels immense guilt for his evil deeds, but is grateful the crown prince forgave him, and he wants to repay that kindness. But it's too late for him as his eyes glow a demonic red. With his last moment of humanity, he screams for everyone to run while he holds off the horde. The villagers flee in terror as he fully transforms, letting out a monstrous roar. The female warrior Yan Ing recalls her father's chilling words: "Weak people are useless and only waste resources." He ordered her to kill all the weak rebels, leaving no one alive. And like a good brainwashed daughter, she simply said, "Yes, father." She then charges into the fray, cutting down the undead with ruthless efficiency. The battle rages on. Later, at Zuian Valley, our girl lets out a massive yawn, complaining that everyone else is taking forever to catch up. The crown prince launches into a lecture from the art of war, explaining they are in a narrow pass, before finally asking why she brought him on her horse specifically. He leans in close, his voice a low whisper. "Of course it's because you're more important than the rest." He pulls her into a firm embrace, and for a second the world melts away. But the moment is shattered when he's suddenly pushed aside. "How dare you," he seethes. Our girl smirks, seeing the tribe warriors have finally arrived. They immediately start complaining, accusing her of using them as bait against a massive zombie horde. Our girl whips out a literal gun, her expression pure ice. "Or what, you think I should be the bait instead?" Right on cue, the zombies begin to roar, their numbers overwhelming. She schools them with some cold, hard logic. If zombies are wolves, they're sheep, and who do wolves hunt? She looks like an absolute goddess of war, completely unfazed. One of the guys points an accusing finger at the prince, demanding to know why he got a special ride to safety. The red-haired warrior Sangya shuts him down, reminding him that our girl is stronger than all of them combined. She orders them all to get behind her, calling everyone, including the prince, a sheep. This is her fight now. The crown prince does not appreciate the sheep comment. Our girl ignores him, cocking her gun. "I am the hunter," she declares. "Sheep or wolves, you're all my prey." With a savage grin, she opens fire, mowing down the undead in a chaotic symphony of destruction. A system notification dings. Her fire crystal is absorbed, her skills have been upgraded, and she's unlocked a new power. A vortex of ethereal fire surrounds her as she purifies the fallen. The tribe warriors watch in awe, realizing she's sending the villagers' souls to heaven, just like their old priestess did. After the battle, she offers the valuable secret crystals to the crown prince. He scoffs, telling her he doesn't need them. She happily takes them for herself, but Sangya approaches her with a solemn look. He bows deeply, thanking her on behalf of his people and calling her Venus Khan. Our girl is completely baffled. "Dude, I guess you've got it completely wrong." He asks if she means Venus the star, his eyes lighting up with hope. He looks up at the sky, desperate for a connection. The moon shines brightly over the dark forest. She plays along, telling him he's a star and she's the moon, even explaining the meaning of her name. With a final take care, she turns and walks away. Sangya is left behind, blushing and completely love-struck by his new high priestess. But while he's having his main character moment, the prince's group is hopelessly lost in the woods. The tribe's men mock them, calling the people from the Great Zhu Kingdom useless. The prince's aide fires back, calling them uncivilized savages and making excuses for their terrible navigation skills. Meanwhile, Sangya's men see this as a golden opportunity. They plot to take our girl back to their tribe while the prince's group is distracted, certain she'll have no choice but to become their priestess then. But our girl is miles away from their petty squabbles, staring up at the moon and reciting a profound poem. The prince looks completely baffled by her modern astronomy lesson. So our girl points to the sky and explains the Big Dipper, but he just asks if she's hungry. "Sir, please use your one remaining brain cell." She patiently explains how to use the stars to find north. His mind is absolutely blown, like he just discovered fire. Our girl just smirks, knowing she's a total genius. Meanwhile, the two guys spying on them are starting to panic. They realize their plan to get them lost is completely ruined. Even the crown prince is shocked, wondering how a family of doctors produced such a Renaissance woman. Elsewhere at Lord Luo's mansion, a subordinate reports to the wolf-eared prince. He confirms he loaded all the zombies onto a boat and sent them downstream, completely unseen. The man swears no one else knows about their little secret. The prince smiles coldly and tells him to take his reward. And by reward, he means a sword straight through the chest. He prefers to be the only one who knows his secrets. "Thank you very much." Suddenly, we see a poor little boy running for his life through the woods. Someone is chasing him, urging him to run faster. The boy is sobbing, absolutely terrified. And surprise, it's a psycho villainess taunting him for being too slow. She slashes at the kid, clearly enjoying his terror. Licking the blood from her blade, she asks if chopping off his arms would make him faster while he screams for Miss Immortal. The poor boy collapses to the ground weeping for help. He can barely even whisper. But then a voice cuts through the darkness, "I'm here." Our girl has arrived, looking like an avenging angel. She draws her sword, its light cutting through the gloom, and tells the boy not to be afraid. Just then, the crown prince appears, grabbing the boy to protect him. He stands shoulder to shoulder with our heroine, ready for a fight. The villainess calls him her boyfriend, and our girl's brain just completely short-circuits. The woman reveals the entire chase was a trap. They let the boy escape specifically to lure them. Realizing they've been played, our girl tells the prince to take the kid and run. She's ready to throw down all by herself, but he's not having it. He grabs her wrist, insisting that kill be the one to fight. From the bushes, one of the guys urges Venus Khan to go help them, terrified of losing another high priestess. The villainess continues her monologue, mocking the prince for being with a lowly girl, claiming it proves he's a traitor. Just as things are getting tense, Venus Khan makes his grand entrance. The two sidekicks are so relieved they immediately glom onto the crown prince for comfort, clinging to him like baby koalas. Venus Khan swoops in, grabs the prince by the waist, and declares he will be the one to fight. Our girl is just standing there, utterly bewildered by this chaotic soap opera. The two sidekicks start yelling at Venus Khan for being a pervert. The prince has finally had enough of their nonsense and violently shoves them off. The villainess looks completely done with this clown show and tells them to just kill themselves. But our girl is faster. She grabs the woman by the face and slams her head straight into the ground. Enraged, the villainess swings her massive sword, but our girl dodges with ease. The woman shrieks about her being the lowly daughter of a doctor, pulling out two more blades. But our girl stands tall and says, "Watch your mouth, I got a name, Sujainu." The villainess loses her mind, screaming that she'll cook her guts and feed them to the army. Our girl calmly retorts that calling women names is degrading, and prepares to strike. The side character begins to tremble, explaining that the Dragoon army is the king's personal death squad. The prince adds that they once annihilated an entire kingdom, led by a man called the King of Hells, who slaughtered over 100,000 people. He can't understand why such a monster would be working with his rivals. Back in the fight, swords clash, and the sound rings through the forest. Their blades lock. The villainess laughs, boasting that her armor is made of unbreakable meteoric iron. Our girl just smirks, "How about I use the gun then?" A loud bang echoes as she shoots the woman square in the chest. The villainess falls to the ground, defeated but laughing hysterically. She's impressed, telling our girl to go ahead and finish her off. But our girl gives the most badass reply in history, "Sure, I'm different from them, those are the conquered. Is while I am the conqueror." The defeated general spits on the ground, demanding a warrior's death. "Kill me, just kill me, don't you even dare to kill, you coward." But our girl is not in a merciful mood. She coldly tells her, "I won't change my mind anyway." And just to twist the knife, she adds, "And I don't care if you'll suffer either." The general screams about the Dragoon army, but our girl is already telling her companions it's time to bounce before they arrive. Her men point out that keeping a general alive just to suffer is a ruthless move, even for them. But the crown prince knows better. He realizes this savage power play is all for his benefit. Sensing his thoughts, our girl sidles up to him and asks why he came back for her. Then she gets dangerously close, whispering that since she saved him, he owes her a little something. Tonight. The poor prince is so flustered he can barely speak. The peanut gallery is absolutely living for this chaotic energy. Their minds immediately go to the gutter, imagining our girl trying to drag the prince into bed. He's completely overwhelmed by her bold advances. But back in reality, she's just teasing him, reminding him that a wise king knows how to reward his subjects. Her hand lands on his chest as she says she knows exactly what he's hiding there. She's after her secret crystal, explaining she didn't have time to absorb it all and stashed it in his pocket for safekeeping. He just sighs, commenting on her obsession with these power-up crystals. As night turns today, we cut to a peaceful scene on a lake. A fisherman and his daughter are hoping to catch a big fish. The little girl is already dreaming of the candied haws they can buy with the money. Suddenly, a beautiful white water lily begins to glow. The fisherman watches in horror as all the lilies on the lake turn a blood red. He stumbles back in absolute terror. An arrow shoots out of nowhere and his daughter screams for her daddy. The once peaceful Yunmeng Lake has become a place of death. Meanwhile, our group is still on the road, but they've picked up some unwanted followers. The red-headed warrior claims it's just a coincidence they're going the same way. Our girl raises a perfectly sculpted eyebrow, not buying it for a second. She completely calls him on his lie, pointing out they're heading south while his home is to the north. He fumbles for an excuse, claiming they're just taking a scenic detour. The crown prince watches this exchange with a hint of jealousy. Our girl immediately clocks his expression and teases him about it. He puffs out his chest and denies it, launching into a noble speech about caring for the kingdom's drought instead of petty emotions. Our girl is left completely speechless by his tsundere nonsense. Even their companions can't believe what a square the prince is, ignoring a goddess flirting with him to talk about politics. Later that night, the group arrives in Cheju City. Elsewhere, a mysterious lord is receiving a grim report. Two people who broke the rules and fished on Yunmeng Lake have vanished without a trace. His subordinate trembles, suggesting the dragon god of the lake is demanding more sacrifices than just livestock. The lord orders the lake to be sealed off, but his man worries the city will run out of water. The lord just smiles cryptically. "Don't worry," he says, "the bride has arrived." He then tells his servant to prepare his bath. It seems he's getting ready for a very important ceremony. The servant bows, "Yes, my lord." Back at the city gates, the prince instructs everyone to use a fake name to avoid attracting attention. As they walk into the city, our girl's playful mood returns. She suggests the prince could just take her surname and then they'd be like family. He immediately shuts her down, calling her shameless. He then orders the red-haired warriors to act as their escorting officers. They immediately start complaining. This is not what they signed up for, but the prince gives them no choice, declaring the matter settled. The youngest one looks ready to throw a punch, but our girl steps in, putting a hand on his shoulder and telling him not to challenge the future king. When he looks confused, she quickly spins a story about how she was just testing the prince's tolerance on their behalf. And like the simple-minded boys they are, they totally fall for it, thinking she's so kind. Their leader, however, knows better, muttering that they're here to drag her back to be their high priestess, not to be her friend. As they explore the lively city, the prince observes that things seem surprisingly normal. Their companions are more interested in the strange decorations. A girl wonders why people are hanging copper coins from all the trees. A local woman kindly explains the town's tradition. It all started when a prefect hung up some lost coins, and people mistook the tree for a magical money tree. Now it's accustomed to hang coins and pray for wealth. The red-haired warrior tries to flirt with the storyteller, but our girl is having none of it, covering his eyes and telling him not to talk to strangers. The woman's friendly demeanor drops. "You don't need to be wary of me," she says, "I'm here for you." Our girl is instantly on guard and tries to leave, but her path is suddenly blocked. She's been surrounded. The woman stands before an ornate palanquin, her intentions now clear. "Please go with us," she says, though it's clearly not a request. Our girl's eyes flash with power as flames erupt in her hand. If they want to take her, they're in for one hell of a fight. The system dings with a brand new, juicy mission. Get close to the target, kill them, and get 200 reward points. Our girl's companions are ready to storm the place, but she's busy contemplating this chaotic new side quest. Meanwhile, the original damsel in distress is absolutely trembling in fear. Of course, accepting the mission costs a few points, and the system gleefully deducts them, which sends our girl into a rage as she kicks a nearby wall. They arrive at the ominous Nangong's mansion. She calmly reports to her new target, Nangong Yi, that she's knocked out all his men with some handy narcotic incense. He sweeps her up into a princess carry, completely ignoring his unconscious guards and the horrified maid. He dismisses the poor girl with a flick of his wrist, clearly only interested in our heroine. He gently lays her down on a bed, apologizing as he begins to remove her outer robes. But just as he leans in, he freezes in shock. Because BAM, the tables have turned. Our girl has him pinned, the hunter becoming the hunted in a heartbeat. He realizes with dawning horror that she was never unconscious to begin with. He tries to play it cool, asking how she expects to escape a mansion crawling with his guards. But she just smirks, snapping her fingers and letting him know she didn't come alone. At her signal, her backup appears from the shadows, totally unaffected by the incense. And of course, the bickering starts immediately. The prince gets possessive and our girl just laughs, asking if he's coming onto her again. She sends him flying with a blast of energy just to make her point, leaving him sputtering in indignation. Nangong Yi, ever the calm and collected pretty boy, simply asks her to come with him so they can talk privately. But her boys are not having it, demanding he speak out in the open. She waves them off, promising she'll be fine. Though her red-headed simp is clearly worried Nangong will hurt her. Her other companions just sigh, remarking that she's a total exception to the rule. He leads her away into a private chamber, pulling aside a heavy curtain to reveal. Our girl's eyes go wide in shock. Before her is a massive, luxurious bathing pool. She immediately tenses, thinking it's an ambush, when suddenly a figure emerges from the water with a dramatic splash. He grabs her arm, pulling her close to the edge. With a sly grin, he murmurs that she's all wet now, so she might as well change her clothes. But our girl is unfazed, confidently stating no one in this world can get her wet. Oh, is that a challenge? He uses his power to command the water, sending a massive wave crashing right over her. She realizes instantly he's a water master, a direct counter to her fire abilities. He gives her an ultimatum, get in the pool willingly or he'll drag her down with him. Meanwhile, outside, the prince is getting a very bad feeling about this place. The entire mansion is built facing southwest. A direction his teacher taught him was incredibly ominous, a gate used only for death and destruction. He realizes they've walked into a massive trap and they need to get our girl out of there immediately. But when they burst in, they're greeted by a stunning sight. Our girl, dressed in a magnificent red wedding gown. The red-haired warrior is instantly crushed, his world crumbling at the sight of his moon getting married. The prince demands to know what's going on. We see a quick flash of Nangongyi chained and imprisoned underwater. A mysterious voice telling him it's for his own good and that he'll be free soon. Back in the present, our girl mentally rolls her eyes at the prince's dramatics. He's correctly figured out the elemental problem. Nangong is a water master and water extinguishes fire. She praises him for being sharp, confirming his suspicions. She admits the trap is far bigger than she anticipated. The entire city is designed to suppress her fire magic, making this his absolute domain. The prince reaches out, taking her hand comfortingly. He tells her not to worry because he's here now. He boasts that his future kingdom will be massive, so this tiny city is nothing to him. His aide quickly reminds him they don't exactly have their army with them, and the prince looks ready to commit murder for that dose of reality. Watching from afar, the northern border warriors are getting restless. Venus Khan stares at the moon, his expression hardening. He declares that she is the future moon of the northern border and gives the order to get ready for action. The city is now fully lit, a massive wedding procession moving through the streets. Inside the bridal sedan, our girl realizes with a jolt that this entire citywide trap is for her wedding. Her companions tell her they've escaped the mansion, but she shakes her head. She can't leave yet, not without the copper coins she scattered all over the city as a tracking mechanism. The prince's nerdy aide's glasses glint as he puts two and two together. Just as our girl is being transported, her palanquin comes to a screeching halt. A mysterious silver-haired man blocks their path and she peeks out, completely bewildered. Before anyone can react, he unleashes a terrifying wave of power. Her bearers are thrown aside like ragdolls and she's sent tumbling out of the carriage. Even Venus Khan is confused, wondering why the sorcerer is attacking his own men. Meanwhile, in a completely different scene, a stunning white-haired woman asks a favor of her dark-haired guard. Her request is specific: please do not stay 9 meters away from me no matter what happens. The man is absolutely stunned by this strange command. His subordinate just smirks, realizing the immortal plans to stick close to her highness. Suddenly, the silver-haired sorcerer from before rips open the curtains to a room. He grabs our girl's hand, his voice urgent, "Come with me if you don't want to die." The dark-haired guard watches from a distance, his eyes blazing with fury. The two of them make a run for it, and the subordinate can't believe his highness is actually listening to someone for once. Venus Khan screams at his remaining men to chase after them, but it's too late for the smirking subordinate who gets cornered. He's completely surrounded, and his confident attitude vanishes as he begs for someone to help him. The sorcerer takes our girl to the serene Yunmeng Lake. He turns to her under the full moon, asking, "What do you take me here for?" He gently takes her hand, his voice softening. "Su Jianyu, don't you remember me? Do you still remember the romantic encounter by the Yunmeng Lake?" Our girl is silent, her mind racing to place his face. A memory flashes through her mind. A tiny crying girl who looks just like her, sobbing by the water's edge. A little boy appears, holding a large leaf over her head to shield her from the rain. The little girl tearfully explains that a bad man wants her to marry his son when she grows up. The boy's solution is simple and incredibly sweet. "How about I marry you then? You won't need to see that bad person." He gently pats her head and the memory clicks into place. "You're that nameless boy," she exclaims. The sorcerer gets adorably ticked off at the nickname. "My name is Nangong Yu," he pouts. He quickly apologizes for the incident in the bathing pool, blaming his brother for forcing him. From the bushes, her guard overhears this shocking confession. Nangong Yu explains that everyone thinks the prefect and the sorcerer are the same person, but they're actually twin brothers. His brother Nangong Yi is the prefect, while he is the sorcerer. Because of a childhood illness, his family locked him away to hide him from the world. The day he met her as a child was the last time he ever saw the outside. He holds her hands, his eyes full of years of longing. Back at the mansion, Venus Khan is fuming. He finds his men beaten and tied up. He asks one of them what he was trying to say earlier. The guard sheepishly admits, "Venus Khan, you went in the wrong direction." Khan looks like he's about to pop a blood vessel. He then notices something inside a carriage and rips open the curtains. Whatever he sees leaves him utterly speechless. By the lake, Nangong Yu continues his story. He promised to marry her, but he was locked up right after. By the time he heard she was nearby, she had already left. He suddenly pins her to the ground, his expression turning fierce as he reveals his brother also has his eyes on her. "But I'll no longer let anyone steal you away from me," he vows, leaning in close. He asks her what she wants. And our girl, ever the agent of chaos, looks him dead in the eye. "Since we were reunited in the water," she purrs, "why don't we go into the water and carry on?" Just as things are getting spicy, a loud hum cuts through the tension. It's her guard, ruining the mood with maximum sass. "Don't mind me," he says, "go ahead." Nangong Yu is visibly annoyed by the interruption. But the guard just stands there, an unmovable obstacle of judgment. Our girl, completely unfazed, gets up. "All right then," she says, grabbing Nangong Yu's hand, "let's continue what we were doing in the water." The guard is scandalized by her shamelessness. As they walk to the water's edge, Nangong Yu gets competitive. "You just can't wait, can you? Then why don't you go first?" he challenges. He gives her a shove, but she's too quick for him. In a shocking Uno reverse, she pushes him instead, sending him splashing into the lake. She sits by the bank looking smug. Huh, you said I couldn't wait, but you even went into the water before I do. Soaking wet but undeterred, he calls her naughty and invites her to join him. But our queen delivers the final blow. Hasn't your mom ever told you you should never easily trust women, especially beautiful ones? She stands over him, a triumphant goddess, while her guard smirks in the background, clearly enjoying the show. He approaches her, a playful glint in his eyes. Are you saying I'm beautiful, your highness? She leans and closes, their faces inches apart. That's so thick-skinned of you, she teases. I'd say you're a liar. He swears he's never lied to her, but she just smiles. Oh, I did mean it when I said I'd treat you like I treat the other men. He blushes furiously, flustered by her forwardness. Our girl simply walks away, leaving him sputtering. Thanks to your indulgence, she says, a picture of pure chaotic victory. The prince is absolutely fuming, while Nangongyi demands to know what our girl means by all this. He stands half submerged in the glowing water, waiting for an answer. But our girl is serving nothing but pure, unfiltered sass. You're too naive, she says, to play such a dirty trick with me. Nangongyi is completely stunned into silence. Finally, he asks her, when did you find it out? She drops the bomb. She knew from the very beginning that he was just cosplaying his younger brother. The real Nangongyu has a mole next to his eye, a tiny detail this imposter missed. Not only that, but he's a wood master, while his brother is a water master. She saw through his weak disguise the entire time. He asks why she didn't expose him, and she hits him with the ultimate burn. I was enjoying your acting so much, I decided to join you. She lays it all out, how he used their childhood connection to set a trap and lower her guard. He grits his teeth, asking if that's all she has to say. Just then, the system chimes in with a chaotic new mission. Kill the dragon god and get 1,000 reward points. Our girl is shocked, but Nangongyi is absolutely livid, realizing she's been playing him for a fool this whole time. The water around him begins to churn violently with his rage. You think you found out the truth, huh? He screams. You know nothing. He descends into a full-blown villain monologue, laughing about how he specifically led her to this fairy lake. But our girl isn't scared. She draws her sword, which bursts into flames. She's more than ready for this fight. It's because of the dragon in this lake, right? He's completely floored. How does she know everything? She just smirks. You shouldn't have underrated me. Meanwhile, back at the Nangong mansions, one of our girl's allies finds the place completely deserted. He figures it's the perfect chance to complete his own mission. He stumbles upon a group of men in a pool. They're holding a set of heavy chains. They found the fetters in the water, confirming his suspicions. Someone was definitely imprisoned here. Back at the lake, a huge crowd of desperate villagers has arrived. They're all on their knees, begging our heroine to appease the angry dragon god so they can have water again. And of course, Nangongyi is behind it all, smirking like the villain he is. Our girl is disgusted. So you want me to sacrifice myself in exchange for water for you? The people plead, a mother crying that her child is dying of thirst. Nangongyi lays the guilt on thick, saying her sacrifice will save millions of people. The prince watches from behind her, his face filled with worry. Our girl closes her eyes, trapped in an impossible situation. To make things even worse, Nangongyi brings out a child hostage, holding a blade to his throat. It's Mayan. He threatens to kill the kid if she doesn't cooperate. How despicable, she whispers, her heart trembling with rage. In the middle of this chaos, the system announces she's completed her in love forever mission and is no longer bound to the prince. Just then, the prince steps forward, right to her side. He reminds her of his promise to always stay within 9 meters of her. Now that we have no choice, he says with steely determination, I'll go with you. She asks if he's trying to die for her, but he simply tells her to take care of Mayan. With one last look at him, our brave heroine promises she'll be right back. She dives into the dark water, only to be met with a horrifying sight. The lake is filled with an army of underwater skeletons. And worse, they're moving. She fights back, her sword slicing through the water, but she's outnumbered. Thorny vines shoot out from the lake beds, wrapping around her body. They tighten around her neck, choking the life out of her. Above the water, Nangongyi gloats that her blood is helping the dragon fruits grow. The villagers rush into the water, grabbing the glowing red fruits. They weep with joy, thinking they've finally been saved. At the same time, a maid brings the fruits to the Nangong patriarch. But when she enters his room, she lets out a blood-curdling scream. The tray is shattered on the floor. The others rush in to see what's wrong. The terrified maid can only point. They look over and their blood runs cold. The patriarch has transformed into a hideous plant monster, roaring in agony. Back at the lake, the prince's guard cries out that she's been underwater for too long. Without a second of hesitation, the prince dives in after her. Nangongyi scoffs, calling him an idiot for risking his life. The prince swims desperately through the murky depths. He finds her unconscious and entangled in the demonic vines. He immediately cuts her free and pulls her into his arms. Starved of oxygen, he presses his lips to hers, sharing his own breath to save her life. His mind flashes back to their underwater kiss, a moment of life-saving desperation that felt like something more. Back in the present, the prefect shows off his plague-ridden arms. He frantically demands they get him dragon fruits. This psycho admits he doesn't even care if his entire city is wiped out. He just needs those fruits to suppress his own infection. Just then, the water erupts. It's our male lead, emerging from the lake with our heroine safe in his arms. The prefect is absolutely stunned. He can't believe they came out alive. Our girl explains there's no dragon god down there, just some mutant plants infected with a plague, and the countless bodies of the poor girls he sacrificed. Suddenly, a guard runs up, completely out of breath. He reports that all the people in the city are now infected with the plague. The crown prince is confused. If they are infected, why haven't they turned into zombies? The red-haired hunk explains it's because they ate the so-called dragon fruits, which were grown using the blood of the sacrificed girls. He warns that the fruits only seem to be effective. Down in the lake, the horrifying truth becomes clear. The infected villagers begin to scream as thorny vines burst from their skin. They're not being cured, they're being transformed into monsters. The crown prince pulls our girl close, shielding her from the horrific sight. It turns out the dragon fruits don't suppress the disease at all, they just turn the eaters into more of the mutant plants. As the chaos unfolds, another guard reports that the person our girl was looking for is missing, but a maid revealed a chilling secret. The prefect was forcing all passing girls to become his brides. Our girl's eyes widen in horror. It all clicks into place. The prefect, meanwhile, is having a complete meltdown. He's in total denial, screaming that he just needs more dragon fruits. He grabs a terrified woman, raving that he'll be fine as long as he keeps eating. He's so far gone, reaching for the demonic flower with his own monstrous hand. More, I need more, he shrieks, demanding the girl feed the plants with her blood. As the villagers fully transform, our heroine confronts him. How could you kill your own people to save yourself? He snaps back, what do you know? He tries to justify his atrocities with some twisted logic about sacrifice, but she claps back with a savage, then why don't you sacrifice yourself? She lays it all bare. He used his power to lure innocent women only to feed them to the lake. The cornered rat gets desperate and blames her, claiming her blood as a secret tart master will produce the best fruits. He lunges, but a sword blocks his path. It's the crown prince standing like an immovable wall. She's right behind me, come and get her if you dare. The prefect is seething. It's you again, why do you always get in my way? He tries to turn everyone against him. What do you want? Sacrificing all of us for her. The remaining townsfolk, now half-plant monsters, join in, blaming our girl for their fate. The crown prince is completely unfazed. So those are your last words? He gives a single chilling command, shoot the arrows. His expression is ice cold. Morals are always used for self-restraint, he says, but not plots against others. His aide trembles, noting he's never seen his highness this furious. The result is a bloody massacre. Our girl turns to leave this nightmare behind, but a hand suddenly grabs her hem. It's the prefect, barely alive, begging her not to leave and pathetically mentioning his brother. The mention of his brother makes her pause, and in that moment of hesitation, a glowing green vine snakes around her wrist. Ha ha ha, you just fell into my trap, you stupid woman. He cackles as vines erupt and bind her completely. He reveals he's been hiding the vines inside his own body. He gloats that they'll suck her blood and grow more fruits just for him. But our girl looks bored. What are you thinking? Who do you think I am? The vines shatter into pieces. She tells him to think hard about his past. Do you really have a brother? She drops the bombshell. His brother is just a second personality created by his twisted mind. Every time he did evil, he'd lock himself up and pretend to be his innocent younger brother to cope with the guilt. He denies it, claiming his brother is a water master with a mole by his eye, but she sees right through him. If you're a wood master, how did you disguise your art as water? Because she reveals he's a master of both. And as for the mole, it's just powder. He's been fooling everyone, including himself. She declares his evil deeds are irrevocable. Suddenly, he grabs her again, his personality completely flipping. Shouldn't you save me, Jianyu? I'm Nangong Yu. He leans in close, playing the part of the pitiful victim. I knew you don't have the heart to see me suffer. He whispers before his face contorts back into a demonic sneer. Then let me bite your neck and drink your blood to make the dragon fruit grow. He lunges for her neck, but she's faster. She grabs his face, stopping him cold. In your dreams. She's had enough. You've tried to hurt me over and over again, she says, her voice dangerously calm. Don't blame me for showing no mercy. And with a final, decisive move, she runs him through with her sword. A system notification pops up. Congratulations, you've killed the so-called dragon god and gained 1000 reward points. She finally understands. The mission wasn't to kill a mythical beast, but the man who started the deadly rumor. As his body fades, it leaves behind secret crystals. She begins to absorb their power, along with the crystals left by the other victims, hoping it will improve her art. The red-haired man watches her, thinking she's truly kind for wanting to cleanse their souls even after they tried to kill her. He calls out to her, but she's distracted, realizing the crystals weren't enough for a level up. deep in thought. She barely registers him asking her a question and just nods absently. He lights up, taking it as a yes. We're going back to the north and my clansmen are waiting for me. Do you want to go to the north and enjoy the sceneries there with me? He's totally shooting his shot, but our girl is still rebooting. What did you say? Before he can ask again, a system message blindsides her. Her secret art has reached the bronze level, but the side effect is that she'll be limp and weak for a while. The red-haired guy panics as she starts to collapse. Holy sh*T, why didn't this damn system tell me earlier? He dives and catches her just before she hits the ground. With shaky hands, Venus Khan holds our girl close, his heart aching to see her like this. We cut to a remote mountain temple where they've taken refuge. But our poor Jian-Yu is unconscious, looking pale and weak. One of the locals frets over her, wondering why the Miss Immortal can't move or even speak. The crown prince examines the angry red marks on her skin, recognizing the wounds from the cursed vines. But his companion is more concerned with their unwanted guests, turning to Venus Khan and asking why he's still hanging around. Venus Khan snaps back that it's none of his business. The man just smirks, telling him to give it up because he'll never have a chance with her, while the prince worries that she might be poisoned. Without a word of warning, the crown prince suddenly lifts her dress, and our girl's subconscious is screaming. He looks grim, his eyes fixed on the wound spreading up her leg. The local wants to stay and help, but Venus Khan squares up, challenging the prince. The crown prince doesn't even hesitate, grabbing the man's shoulder and icily telling him to get out. Venus Khan clenches his fist, refusing to back down. The prince immediately draws his blade, ready to settle this the hard way. Venus Khan's companion quickly intervenes, trying to pull him away to avoid a bloodbath. He tries to reassure his hot-headed friend, promising the prince means her no harm. With one last worried glance, they finally leave the room. The second they're gone, the prince does the absolute last thing anyone expected. He starts sucking the poison from her hand. Our girl gasps in shock, completely bewildered by what's happening. The venom is making her skin unbearably itchy, and she begs him to stop. Outside, Venus Khan is losing his mind, wondering why the prince kicked them out. Unless, oh no, his imagination is running wild with some very spicy scenarios. His friend asks if he's okay, seeing him sweat buckets. He tries to play it cool, but my man is not fine. In fact, they are both peeking through the doorway like a couple of creeps. Inside, the prince has moved on, now holding her delicate ankle. And then he puts his mouth on her foot. Sir, this is a temple. He is surprisingly thorough with his treatment. He looks up, his eyes dark and intense, and asks her if she feels better now. Our girl is flushed and confused, her mind racing. Feel better? Is this foreplay? He leans in and captures her lips in a searing kiss. Then he bites down, drawing blood. This is getting chaotic. She's panicking, thinking she's about to lose her innocence to this madman. He pins her down on the bed, his shadow looming over her. Her eyes widen in terror. No, is he going to do it right now? But he pauses, a thought crossing his mind. She's actually hot. Jian-Yu trembles, trying to sound brave. I'm very afraid of pain. He gently cups her face, his expression unreadable. He kisses her again, this time whispering, don't worry, I will be gentler. You won't even feel any pain. Outside, Venus Khan is still stewing. Why did he kick us out? His mind is still stuck on that one very steamy possibility. The romantic, intense atmosphere is thick enough to cut with a knife. His friend asks again if he's okay, but he can only stare at the door, consumed with jealousy. Back inside, the prince is still focused on the wounds on her leg. He continues his very intimate method of drawing out the poison. Our girl feels her body going numb and tingly, her strength fading away under his touch. He looks up again, that intense gaze of his making her entire body heat up as he asks if she's more comfortable now. Comfortable? What does he even mean by that? This has to be some kind of seduction. He moves in for another kiss, and she can't even think straight anymore. He bites her again, and her mind just short-circuits. Don't, I'm still innocent, I hate you, system. He shifts his weight, getting ready. This is it, she thinks it's all over now. A girl is completely overwhelmed, caught in his trap. He looks down at her, a small smirk playing on his lips as he realizes just how beautiful she is. She whispers again that she's afraid of pain, her last line of defense. He just leans in and gives her the softest, most gentle kiss. And then he promises, don't worry, I'll do it slowly so you won't feel any pain. A system notification pops up, congratulating our girl on advancing her technique and acquiring a new skill, Phoenix Flame. It seems the treatment was a success. The crown prince looks down at her, his expression unreadable. He explains that she was poisoned and he, sucked it out to save her. Our girl is absolutely floored by this revelation. She asks how she could possibly repay him for saving her life. And the sly fox leans in, suggesting they continue where they left off and make some spark, while his loyal men are totally eavesdropping. One of them is bright red, stuttering about making sparks. His friends just stare at him, completely judging his life choices. Suddenly, a massive explosion of power rocks the entire area. The fiery blast forms the image of a phoenix, with our couple at its very heart. The eavesdroppers are losing their minds over how much spark is happening. He whispers that he's surprised she has any reactions at all. As they kiss, a new notification appears. Her battle suit has been equipped. The Crown Prince's counterattack was a success, and she's earned 1,000 points. He pulls back, face flushed and completely stunned. Our girl, now decked out in her new gear, tries to play it cool. She explains it was her first time using the spell, and she accidentally burned off both their clothes in the process. Just then, the thundering sound of hooves announces the arrival of the dragon riders. Back at the royal palace, some guy is pacing nervously, worried that they've been gone for too long. His companion tells him to chill since the dragon riders are on the case. But a seductive woman cozies up to him, trying to distract him with other activities. She whispers an invitation to her pavilion to help him relieve stress. The anxious one completely loses it, declaring he'll go search for them himself. The thirsty noble lady tries to get him to stay, suggesting he can gallop at her place instead. But the other man shuts him down, reminding him he can't just abandon his post. Suddenly, the woman switches sides, fully supporting the prince's decision to leave. Out of nowhere, the voice calls out Royal's uncle. A blast of fire cuts through the night, and there he is, our male lead, looking unimpressed with all this chaos. He tells his men to get lost and give them some peace and quiet, but one of the guys seems hesitant to leave our girl's side. This triggers the crown prince's jealousy, and he issues a direct order: go, or I'll behead you for rebellion. But our girl is no damsel. She smirks, defiantly stating she won't go, and challenges him to kill her if he's got the guts. He smirks, calling her a crazy woman, but she just screams back that she's crazy in love with him. With that chaotic confession, our girl charges headfirst into the enemy ranks. She moves like a blur of red and silver, so fast that nobody can even react. The prince can only stare in disbelief, muttering, "You fool." But our heroine has a plan. Forget the grunts, take down the king first. She lunges for the carriage, but a hand shoots out and grabs her arm in a vice grip. He caught her. She realizes with dawning horror that this was a trap all along. But she's got one more trick up her sleeve, a modern one. She whips out a gun and fires it point blank. He just scoffs, saying he prefers to slay leaders himself. With a flash of his sword and glowing red eyes, he moves to strike her down. She's sent flying backwards, blood spraying from her mouth. He blocked a bullet without even looking. What kind of monster is he? As he looms over her, calling her treacherous, she collapses to the ground, too injured to move. But just as he raises his sword, a new challenger appears. A handsome red-haired man steps in to protect her, declaring she is his country's moon. He stands between them, a fierce guardian against the Dark Prince. The prince is unfazed, boasting that he's wiped out 10 countries before. Our girl, ever the drama queen, retorts that she'll smile even as she dies. Her protector is completely confused. "You know how to speak poetry?" he asks, totally breaking the tension. Our girl ignores him and calls out for her secret weapon, system. She desperately asks for anything that can make her stronger. The system offers a strength enhancement pill, but it has side effects. Side effects? Who cares? I'll survive first, give me 10, she yells, spending all her points in one go. A brilliant light envelops her as the power surges through her veins. The prince is shocked. "Oh, you can still stand back up." He taunts her, warning her not to overestimate herself. His buddy chimes in that ants always struggle the most before death. But our girl isn't an ant anymore. She meets his blade with her own, the force of their clash shaking the ground. Meanwhile, her red-haired protector is trying to hold back one of the other generals, creating even more chaos. The peanut gallery can only facepalm, commenting on how fatal this exchange of moves is. Their battle becomes the stuff of legends, a clash of moonlight and steel. Thousands of exchanges pass in the blink of an eye. Our girl is breathing heavily, shocked that even after consuming 10 enhancement pills, she can only fight him to a standstill. He, on the other hand, is just laughing. He smirks, saying it's the first time he's had so much fun fighting a little doll. Oh, he did not just call her a little doll. She glares back, seething, "I have more experience than you can ever imagine." He grabs our girl, his voice a low growl in her ear. He asks if the rumors are true, that she conspired with the crown prince to kill the king. Our heroine is stunned, but she quickly denies it. False. He just smirks, a dangerous glint in his eye. "Your name is Sujainu, right? I'll remember you." Then he turns to his men and barks an order. They immediately obey. The other prince watches on, realizing the man in black is finally making his move. With a final command, he announces they're heading back to the capital and just leaves. The young boy with the other prince is confused. "Stepfather, are we going to let them go just like that?" The man smiles cryptically. "Of course not." He muses that a person who can create such a beautiful poem couldn't be a killer, but he's given them a chance they'll need strength to seize. If they can't even survive this, he says, then they're just weaklings who don't deserve to live. Absolutely savage. He suspects a trap is waiting for them and decides they need to stock up before moving on. Meanwhile, back with our girl, the strength enhancement pill she took is wearing off, and the side effects are hitting her hard. The young boy cries out as he sees her collapse, but before he can catch her, he's roughly shoved aside. It's the dark and brooding prince who catches our heroine, pulling her into his arms. He wonders why her body is suddenly ice cold, immediately assuming she's faking it just to get his attention. "Sir, she is literally dying." as the two other guys have their own little dramatic moment. A magical light envelops our girl. A voice announces she's entering a secret space. Suddenly, she hears a little meow. A pristine white cat with a crescent moon on its forehead appears, and our girl immediately demands her system explain what's happening. The cat licks its paw, looking incredibly smug. Are you blind? I'm right here. She can't believe it. This sassy little furball is her scam system. The cat proceeds to explain that this new space has all sorts of useful buildings. It even has farms to produce food and money once she unlocks them with points. But then comes the punchline. It's all useless to her right now because she has 0 points. Our girl is livid. She grabs the little fluffball by its cheeks in pure rage. The cat shrieks, telling its stupid host that the space literally just unlocked, so how was it supposed to know? The group slips into Jeju City, where the locals have no idea what's about to hit them. The crown prince's subordinate casually mentions that the dragon fruit just requires a small asterisk sacrifice of some rich people. No big deal. Our girl is still out cold in the prince's arms, and while the city seems safe for now, he knows it's only temporary. He immediately starts giving orders, telling Ju Minghan to get supplies while he takes our girl to find a place to stay. Ju Minghan snaps at his own men to get moving before the disaster strikes. He throws some major shade, declaring he's only helping for you, but the crown prince just smirks and hits him with a savage ditto. Ju Minghan's subordinate is totally baffled, whispering that it feels like his leader just got scammed and is now happily helping the scammer. He's even more confused about the little kid they brought along, who is apparently a hostage to keep the prince from bailing on them. Suddenly, the prince feels a tug on his sleeve. A little girl looks up with worried eyes, asking what's wrong with Big Sister. Just then, a young woman approaches, offering to help with her family's medical skills. They get our girl inside and into a bed, but the crown prince realizes with horror that her body is getting colder and colder. Elsewhere in the house, his subordinate is trained to make small talk and accidentally makes the host cry by asking about her family. He completely panics, deciding this is way above his pay grade and that he should just go make some soup instead. And with that, he makes a tactical retreat to the kitchen. Back in the room, their new host delivers the bad news. Our girl has been struck by a cold poison and they need to act fast. The crown prince demands to know what they can do. The girl explains the fastest way to save her is to physically warm her up with body heat. She gives him a knowing look, asking if he's not an that asterisk kind of relationship with her. The prince, looking dead serious, volunteers for the job immediately. The girl can't help but smirk, thinking to herself, I knew it, all men are the same. Meanwhile, the subordinate is innocently searching for some ginger in the kitchen. He opens up a cupboard, probably expecting some spices, but what he finds is pure terror. The cupboard is stuffed with the bloody corpses of an entire family. He turns with a look of pure confusion on his face. He tells the little girl to take care of our heroine, and she sweetly agrees. But the moment his back is turned, he asks where Kai and Liu disappeared to. Turns out, Kai and Liu has been taken hostage by a scarred man in the woods. Back in the room, the creepy little girl stares down at our sleeping heroine. She scoffs, thinking about how beautiful women are just manipulative seductresses, just like the ones her father used to bring home. She reveals her own mother was just as useless, siding with her abusive father instead of protecting her. And that's when the mask completely drops, revealing a truly psychotic grin as she confesses to chopping her own father into pieces. But the horror show isn't over yet. She then sold her mother to a brothel to be used by countless men. Her villain monologue continues as she explains she tricked and sold even more of her relatives. Now she plans to use an aphrodisiac on our beautiful heroine to sell her for a high price. But little does she know, our girl is wide awake. With ice in her veins, our heroine speaks, "You're finally done talking." She gives the little psycho a savage warning. Villains who talk too much are more likely to die. In a flash, she snatches the potion bottle right out of the girl's hand. Then she grabs a fistful of her hair, demanding to know what she was trying to do as the girl starts wailing. Just then, the door swings open and her handsome guard commands her to let go. Our girl just waves him off with maximum sass, saying she'll do whatever he says. The little monster immediately switches to damsel in distress mode, crying to him about how violent our heroine is. She latches onto his leg, spinning a whole sob story about her tragic past. Our girl is completely unimpressed, schooling the little actress that her bad life isn't an excuse to make other people's lives miserable. She then tells the man it's a good thing he met her, because this little manipulator would ruin him. The girl's crocodile tears start flowing again, twisting our heroine's words to make it sound like a death threat. But the man isn't buying it. He draws his sword with a smirk, noting that for someone who just woke up, she's causing quite the ruckus. The little actress is completely stunned. She thought he was on her side. Our heroine asks him if he finally understands their situation, but he just smiles, saying that believing in her is more important. He declares he'll be her sword, and the little girl finally realizes these two are dead serious. In a moment of pure panic, she throws the potion at them. The bottle shatters, releasing a cloud of purple powder. But our girl is a queen. She draws her own sword and slices the cloud of poison in half with a single elegant stroke. The man doesn't even flinch, completely trusting her. The girl makes a break for it, and as she runs, he asks for the sword back. Our heroine points out the sword is in her other hand and questions why he's holding onto her hand so tightly. He leans in, his face just inches from hers, and whispers, "I can't reach." Then he pulls her flush against his chest, their bodies touching, and smirks, "Now I can." As he takes the sword from her, she can't help but call him a scumbag, though her blush tells a very different story. He retracts his sword, demanding to know what just happened. He checks her temperature, realizing she's completely fine now. But our girl is on another level of chaotic today, shushing him and getting all up in his personal space. She teases him mercilessly, asking if he's already forgotten about his personal guard, Yun Liu. The prince freezes, completely stunned, and asks how she knew his guard was gone. She smirks, revealing she was awake the entire time, just pretending to be asleep to see what he'd do. The absolute savage. She even knew he'd chicken out halfway through whatever he was planning. He tries to play it off, claiming he was just helping her with her cold. But his body betrays him as he pins her down, threatening to finish what he started. Meanwhile, in a completely different part of the drama, our poor hostage is having a meltdown over their public display of affection. With a knife to his throat, he realizes he's his own knight in shining armor. He has a sudden, brilliant, and utterly disgusting idea. He puckers up and plants a massive smooch right on the kidnapper's cheek. The kidnapper recoils in absolute horror, screaming and shoving him away. But our boy uses the push to his advantage, landing perfectly on his feet. He strikes a victory pose, having saved himself through the sheer power of being gross. The kidnapper, now hostage-less, panics. He immediately drops to his knees and starts begging, spilling all the tea about the little bitch who hired them. But his snitching is cut short by a sudden knock at the door. The dude's whole demeanor changes, thinking his backup has arrived. He laughs maniacally, but our heroine just calls him fickle, unimpressed. And then she unleashes her full power, sword blazing as she gets ready to throw down. The kidnapper's goons barge in, only to find a woman in a red wedding dress passed out on the floor. They have no idea it's a trap, thinking their boss already left. They decide to just grab the bride and sell her, already planning their victory drinks. But just as they're about to leave, the door bangs open again. It's our girl and the ex-hostage, who is now her biggest fan, praising her brilliant plan. The prince, however, is completely lost, asking how she got a new dress when her old one burned. She just smirks, telling him she says a lot of things he shouldn't believe, and announces it's time to go. The prince is sweating buckets, trying to blame it on the cold medicine she gave him. Our girl has no time for his hormonal meltdown and tells him to stop messing around. She gets serious, laying out the grim situation with the plague spreading through the city. They need to find their friends and escape this nightmare before everyone turns into a zombie. He reaches for her, but she shoves his hand away, telling him they are on a tight schedule. But he's not taking no for an answer, pulling her back and making her fall right into his arms. The prince is blushing so hard he could probably start a fire. And just like that, all thoughts of plagues and zombies are gone as he holds her in a very asterisk compromising position. His Highness looms over her, his face flushed and his breathing heavy. Our girl realizes with dawning horror that the aphrodisiac she was carrying spilled on him, and it's definitely taking effect. Before she can even process it, he crashes his lips onto hers. She tries to talk some sense into him, begging him to calm down and fight it, but his instincts are way stronger than his self-control, and he slams her down onto the bed. A flicker of his true self comes through, confused and horrified by his own actions. Our girl can only look up at him, her heart pounding in her chest. He's practically burning up, complaining about an intense heat that's coming from within. And our heroine cheekily admits she's feeling a little warm herself. He growls that her flustered expression is just making things 1,000 times worse. And just to prove his point, he goes into full chaotic temptation mode. Thinking fast, she covers his eyes with a blindfold, hoping that out of sight, out of mind will actually work. But her closeness is still driving him crazy, and he begs her to stay away. Right before yanking her into a desperate hug, completely contradicting himself, she just smiles, trying to soothe the beast, telling him a simple hug is no big deal. Famous last words, he grabs her arm, refusing to let go, and pulls her into another soul-stealing kiss. Okay, now things are getting a little too spicy. She shoves him back, telling him that's enough. She playfully boops his nose, warning him not to get carried away unless he wants to see her angry side. But this man is a menace. He seductively licks her finger, and now she's the one begging him to stop the torture. He pleads with his eyes for her to get away while he still has a shred of sanity left. She gently cups his face, agreeing to leave. Our girl begins to make her escape, crawling away slowly. But just as she thinks she's in the clear, a hand snakes out and grabs her ankle. She whips her head around, completely baffled. You literally just told me to leave. But the prince's self-control has officially left the chat as he yanks her back towards him. He looms over her trembling form, his eyes wild with fever. And our poor heroine can only think one thing: she's totally, completely done for. The man is fighting a losing battle, his body slick with sweat and his breathing ragged. In one swift, desperate move, he flips her over, and she realizes with dawning horror that he's at his absolute limit. Our girl gives a flirty apology, but the prince is clearly flustered and blushing from her touch. He admits that he wants this just as much as she does, but he's a true gentleman, saying he doesn't want to force her into anything. He holds her hands gently, making a solemn vow, promising to cherish this moment and her for the rest of his life. Hearing his heartfelt confession, our girl decides to take the lead. She swiftly undoes her ribbon, letting her gorgeous silver hair flow free. With a sly smile, she tells him, "Let me help you," as they fall back onto the bed together. Things are about to get very interesting. But just as things heat up, the scene cuts to a crowded street. Suddenly, one of the men in the crowd starts to convulse, his eyes glowing a demonic red. He lets out a monstrous scream, his teeth turning into fangs. A terrifying roar echoes through the street as the infection spreads like wildfire. Absolute chaos erupts as the townspeople turn on each other, begging for help as they're torn apart. Watching from a rooftop, a woman notes with cold detachment that they've all turned into beasts. She calls the rampaging horde beasts, a wicked plan already forming in her mind. She spots a lone child in the street and smirks, thinking she's found the perfect scapegoat. The vile woman shoves the poor boy straight into the path of the monsters. With a truly demonic grin, she tells him to cry louder and attract more attention, hoping he'll be a good little distraction. The boy wails in pain as three mysterious men suddenly appear on the scene. The red-headed man calls out, startling the wicked woman. She panics, realizing he has companions, and quickly tries to change her tune. But it's too late, the horde is upon them, roaring as they chase their new targets. The boy trips and falls, and the woman just leaves him there to die. The red-haired man stares in horror at the approaching monsters, realizing they're the living dead. The villainess immediately puts on her best damsel-in-distress act, begging the boy to be quiet. She then turns to the newcomers, pleading for them to save the child she just tried to sacrifice. The kind-hearted man immediately rushes to help the boy up. The woman cackles internally, thinking her plan worked and that the boy will be the perfect bait to ensure her own escape. But just then, the roar of an engine cuts through the chaos. Our girl is back, and she's made a ridiculously cool entrance on a modern motorcycle. The villainess is completely stunned, wondering where this woman and her strange metal horse came from. Before she can even process it, our heroine delivers a savage kick right to her face. The trash woman goes flying through the air, landing in a pathetic heap on the ground. With the boy safely on the back of her bike, our girl tells him not to cry because she's here to save the day. She then turns to her system, demanding to buy a high-age explosive to deal with the zombie problem once and for all. But the system is a total buzzkill and flat-out rejects her request. Our girl is absolutely livid, threatening her system for defying her. As a punishment for her threatening behavior, the system deducts 200 points, sending our poor heroine into a rage spiral as she curses her shitty cat system. This little traitor thinks she's slick, aiming a poison arrow right at our girl. But with a flick of her wrist, our heroine shatters the arrow mid-flight. The girl is absolutely stunned, realizing she's been found out. Our girl calls her out on her pathetic plan to use them as zombie bait. "Good plan," she says, "but you can have it." And just like that, the traitor is on the ground, her scheme in ashes. Our girl is ice cold, saying the girl's corpse will be the perfect distraction for the living dead. Her own companion trembles, thinking she's way too savage for anyone to handle. After traveling through the night, they finally arrive outside the city. A young man waves them over excitedly. One of the prince's men reports that he's gathered all the refugees as ordered. But there's a huge problem, the city gates are sealed shut. Suddenly, the guards on the wall raise their bows, ready to fire on the crowd. The refugees panic, but the guards sneer that going back into the zombie-filled city is a death sentence anyway. Then the lead guard drops a bombshell. They're not the real guards, they're assassins called the Dragon Riders, and they're here to kill the crown prince. This whole thing is a hit job for the second prince. Our girl screams for everyone to get back as arrows rain down on the innocent refugees. She notices the archers are far too skilled to be regular soldiers, confirming her suspicions that these are elite killers. As if things couldn't get worse, a terrifying roar echoes from behind them. A horde of the living dead is closing in, trapping them completely. The crown prince looks on in despair, seeing no way out of this nightmare. But our girl isn't one to give up. She immediately asks for the materials they gathered earlier. The guard on the wall just laughs, ordering his men to fire into the crowd, knowing the prince is among them. He's practically giddy, thinking his job is done now that they're cornered by zombies. Her companions quickly point to the supplies they prepared. The guards just mock them from above, wondering what a few sacks could possibly do against an army of the dead. While the guard is laughing, our girl praises her team for their speed. The crown prince, ever the simp, sees her praise and immediately thinks she's giving him an indirect kiss. Our girl places a hand on the barricade, a powerful energy gathering around her. "Phoenix Flame," she whispers as her eyes begin to glow with immense power. She unleashes a torrent of fire, instantly creating a massive wall of flames that blocks the zombie horde. The lead guard is too busy fantasizing about his promotion to even notice. He just cackles as the people below scream for help. Then, in a move of pure chaotic energy, our girl starts scrambling up the city wall, pretending to be a damsel in distress. The guard is completely baffled, screaming at the crazy bitch to get back down. She reaches the top and faces him with a grin. "You're the one who said it," she says with a savage smile. "I'll leave the living dead to you guys." With that, she leaps off the wall, leaving the assassins to their fate. The guards look down in absolute terror as the zombies begin to swarm the gate. The leader screams in agony, promising to haunt her even as a ghost. Our girl's response is legendary. "Then you better wait in line because you're not the first." She lands gracefully, a whirlwind of power, having turned their own trap against them. The barbarian prince is having a complete meltdown, realizing this chaotic system is totally playing him for a fool. But his crisis is interrupted by the arrival of two unwelcome guests. The man in green smugly asks why they haven't left yet, practically oozing condescension. He then drops a savage bomb, telling them they don't stand a chance because his fairy sister has already promised the prince a title. Inside, the prince is completely unaware of the drama, his attention focused solely on our girl's wounds from the plague-mutated vines. The barbarian prince's companion tries to drag him away, wisely telling him not to cause a scene. Mr. Smugface gives a slimy assurance that their prince won't harm her, which isn't comforting at all. As they finally leave, the prince is inside doing something very weird with his hand. Our girl, who's just come to her senses, is utterly bewildered by the sight. He grabs her arm and starts licking the wounds. Our girl yelps that it tickles and tells him to stop. But of course, the prince couldn't just leave. He's peeking from the doorway, trying to figure out what's going on. His mind immediately jumps to the most scandalous conclusion. His buddy, completely oblivious, just asks if he's all right. But he is not all right. He's witnessing some primetime drama unfold. Inside, things escalate as the prince moves from her arm to her leg. And yup, he's treating her wounds like a personal lollipop buffet. Our poor heroine is completely overwhelmed, her body feeling numb and tingly as her strength drains away. He then has the absolute audacity to ask if she feels more comfortable now. Comfortable? Our girl's brain short circuits. What could he possibly mean by that? Her mind screams the only logical yet terrifying conclusion: foreplay. He pulls her into a close embrace, and her panic goes into overdrive. She hasn't even dated anyone, and now she's about to go all the way. She internally curses the scam system that got her into this mess. The prince looms over her, his intentions dangerously unreadable. This is it. She closes her eyes, thinking it's all over, and he's starting the main event. Our girl is a blushing, trembling wreck, but as he looks down at her, he has a sudden realization: she's actually quite beautiful. She's still terrified, remembering all the pain her body has been through and fearing what's to come. But instead of the worst, he gently kisses her forehead. He whispers, "Don't worry, I will be very gentle," promising to go slow so she won't feel any pain. A messenger eagle slices through the sky, carrying an urgent message. It's from Taifo, and this can't be good news. The crown prince catches the letter, his expression calm for now. But as he reads the contents, his eyes widen in pure, unadulterated fury. He turns to our girl, his face a mask of cold rage. She trembles, asking why he's looking at her like she's his next meal. And just like that, he unsheathes his sword. His subordinate panics, screaming that this is Fairy Sister, trying to stop the absolute chaos about to unfold. The prince declares that she is no longer allowed to follow him. He presses the cold steel against her throat, and our poor heroine can only ask, "Didn't you say you would believe me no matter what?" "Believe," he scoffs, his voice breaking. He looks completely shattered, his face a canvas of betrayal and pain. "I can only feel immense pain in my heart right now," he roars. He gives her one final, devastating threat. If he ever sees her again, he will kill her without hesitation. Then he leaps onto his horse, dropping the damning letter to the ground. His soldiers scramble to follow their enraged leader. Our girl is left in the dust, wondering if he ran away simply because he couldn't bring himself to kill her. She picks up the letter that caused all this drama. And the reason for his rage is laid bare. Imperial soldiers supposedly witnessed her, Sujainu, assassinating the king. She calls him an idiot for running off without even giving her a chance to explain. But she knows it's not that simple. She has no proof, and how could he face the woman accused of murdering his own father? Meanwhile, back at the royal palace, things are getting spicy. A mysterious woman is scolding Prince Luo for backing the crown prince. A servant reports that they found a princess's corpse, but not the imperial jade stamp. Prince Luo realizes that with this accusation, he and our girl are now enemies. The woman runs her hand over the throne, a picture of ambition. She warns him not to do anything stupid just because he's sad. And then she delivers the most savage line: "What doesn't belong to you from the start will never belong to you in the end. Don't overstep your boundaries, Prince Luo." He can only clench his fist in frustration. Back in the forest, our girl has somehow acquired a freaking motorcycle. A familiar face pops up, cheerfully calling out to her. It's the chaotic doctor, asking why she's not following the crown prince. He points out she's literally going the wrong way to catch up with him. But don't worry, this sly fox has a plan. He's already sent a message to the prince's soldiers so they can track him down anytime. He casually tells her to get on. Our girl thinks to herself that the crown prince is too angry to listen to any explanation right now. Her little system cat smugly agrees, thinking it's the best companion for the job. She realizes that before sorting out this royal mess, she has to focus on her main mission, fulfilling the original owner's wish. A new fire of determination lights up in her eyes. Our girl remembers the original owner's story. Her father had gone to this very mountain to find a cure for her mother's illness. But by the time he returned, her mother was already gone, and our girl had mysteriously developed an immunity. Now, hoping to find a cure for the new epidemic, she's come to the same place. But as she arrives, something is terribly wrong. The place is eerily clean, as if scrubbed of all life. Down by the river, she spots a group of men in white robes. They're handling corpses, arranging them gently into boats for burial. Our girl storms over, demanding to know what's going on. The man explains that they are simply benevolent souls, taking in the bodies that float down the river. But our heroine's sharp eyes catch every detail. The clothes on the bodies are new and not even wet. And worse, there are small, precise holes in their foreheads where their life-giving secret crystals have been brutally harvested. The man, oblivious to her discovery, smiles and asks if she's here for the plague cure. He offers to take her to their elder, and our girl, smelling a massive rat, decides to play along. She's led to the Kongaming Pavilion, where the man announces her arrival. Inside, a figure sits with their back turned, the so-called elder. And who should be standing there but her own master? The guide suddenly gets way too close, sniffing her and commenting on how good she smells. She immediately shuts him down, pointing out the smell is coming from the elder, identifying it as a mixture of beeswax and turpentine oil used for preserving things. The man nervously claims the elder has just fallen asleep. To change the subject, he offers to show them to the famous hot springs. Later, our girl is in the hot spring, putting a plan into motion. Disguised as her own master, she exudes an alluring beauty in the misty water, much to the shock of the creepy guide who brought her. He tries to get all poetic, but she is not having any of it. She thinks to herself, he took the bait, ready to see how long he can keep up his act. She decides to turn up the heat, inviting him to come bathe with her. The guy is completely flustered, so she grabs his collar, pulling him closer with a teasing no-no. But to her shock, he doesn't budge an inch. He smirks, his entire demeanor changing as he asks if she's afraid of being devoured by him. She keeps her cool, staring him down. He continues his taunts, asking if she's perhaps afraid of the water. She fires back with a savage comeback, "I'm afraid you won't be able to digest me." Suddenly, he starts taking off his outer robe. Our girl panics internally, realizing her plan has gone completely sideways. But instead of getting in, he gently drapes his robe over her shoulders, telling the fairy sister not to catch a cold. She's stunned, wondering if he's just provoking her. Just then, another man arrives, announcing that the elder is finally awake and has summoned her. The game is over. She's led into a grand hall lined with dozens of robed figures. They tell her to approach the elder, but our girl stops dead in her tracks. With a smirk that could cut glass, she says, "I don't think so. I don't mind speaking with the living, but I'm not quite ready for the dead yet." The priest plays dumb, asking our girl what she could possibly mean. But our heroine is no fool. She sniffed out his entire plan from the start. She drops the bombshell. "You guys applied beeswax and turpentine to your elder's body. Those are used to preserve a corpse." She stands there, a vision of righteous fury, and delivers the final blow. "So how could a dead person talk to me?" The priest is stunned into silence, but his accomplice tries to play it cool, remarking how close he must be with the elder to come looking for her. This creepy nun then has the audacity to flirt with him, saying it's a shame she's already taken her vows. He's not having any of it and coldly tells her to move. The nun panics, trying to think of a way to stall him, while he pretends to feel bad, saying there's only enough medicine for one person. But his little act is cut short when he's suddenly shocked by an unseen force. The priest tries to shove the nun out of the way, but it's too late. A new challenger has entered the arena, and he looks absolutely furious, holding a sword to the priest's throat. Our girl turns to the newcomer, taunting him for setting up so many people just because he's afraid he can't beat her. "Congratulations," she says with a smirk, "'cause you're right." She draws her own glowing sword, ready for a showdown. "You can't beat me now, bring it on." The priest on the floor still tries to keep up his charade, begging her to come get her medicine. But she calls him out on his disgusting lie, revealing the medicine is actually a poison that turns people into the living dead. She lays out their entire evil scheme. The corpses were villagers who came for help, but instead they were turned into zombies so these ghouls could harvest the crystals from their heads. They were trying to hide the bodies when our heroes arrived, forcing them to put on this pathetic act. Finally dropping the pretense, the priest's face contorts into a psychotic grin, wondering why she had to be so smart and ruin everything. Just then, a wave of weakness hits our girl. She trembles, realizing the hot spring was poisoned. The creep cackles, confirming he put muscle weakness powder in the water and now he's going to teach her a lesson. But before he can take a single step, bang, the roof caves in. A handsome stranger drops from the ceiling, calling her fairy sister and worrying that she might catch a cold. He gently supports our weakened heroine, holding her close. She realizes this guy knew the hot spring was dangerous but didn't warn her. He just smiles sweetly, saying it's too windy and he can't let her get sick, before promptly closing the door and trapping them all inside. Our girl kneels, the poison taking its toll while her savior stands guard. The villains are thrilled, thinking this idiot just made their job easier. But our new hero just smirks. Correct, I closed the door to beat the dogs. The ultimate savage comeback. He turns to our girl, his voice soft again. Fairy sister, lend me your sword. He gently takes the weapon from her hands, telling her to get some rest. After making sure she's safe, he turns to face the enemy with her blade in hand. With a single blinding flash of steel, it's all over before it even began. With a massive bang, the cultivator's sword shatters into a million pieces. The goon laughs maniacally. I was wondering how strong you were, and this is it? He taunts him, asking how he plans to fight without a weapon. But our guy just smirks. Have you ever thought that maybe it's the sword that isn't strong enough? What a savage comeback. He then mutters to himself that the damn sword cost him 100 points. But before the fight can continue, our girl dramatically grabs his leg, whimpering, it hurts. He looks down, completely baffled, wondering why she didn't fall unconscious like he planned. She looks up at him with those big eyes and demands compensation. Carry me over to their elder, she says, bold as brass, and before he can protest, she hops right onto his back. He's immediately flustered, complaining that she's making him carry her to another man. Enough bullshit, he grumbles, clearly not enjoying this one bit. But he can't deny the feeling, teasing her. You say no, but your body is quite honest, isn't it? They leap through the air and land directly in front of the elder and his cronies, triggering a side quest. The mission is to destroy the Kongaming nest for 1,000 points, plus 10 points for every cultivator killed. Our girl instantly figures out the quest only activates near the elder and makes a hilariously savage remark about an 18-year-old bride and an 80-year-old groom. They stand together looking like an unexpectedly powerful duo. Then, in a truly chaotic move, she starts wiping his chest, claiming she touched a corpse and needs to clean him off. He is absolutely stunned by the sudden contact. He gets so flustered, he yanks his own robe open, leaving our girl to wonder if his germophobia is really that bad. The enemy cultivators are absolutely furious at this shameless public display of affection. One of them has had enough, roaring in fury as he rips his shirt off and powers up with crackling energy. He smashes the ground with a mighty dong. But our guy, now also conveniently shirtless, just stares down with glowing red eyes and asks, so what? He calls them nothing but ants who can't even stand up straight. And with just his sheer aura, he forces them all to their knees. They're so overwhelmed they start spitting blood. Even our girl is forced to her knees from the pressure. But this guy decides now is the perfect time to recite some cringy poetry. She immediately shuts him down. You idiot, I'm still wearing my clothes. What the heck are you looking at? He just smirks, telling her she's different from the average woman. Of course, she shoots back, who do you think I am? He calls her a mood spoiler, and she fires back that he's being scummy for blaming her. While they're having their lovers' quarrel, one of the cultivators gets back up, shouting that brute strength won't beat them. He lunges forward, yelling, take this. But a shield of water instantly swirls around our guy, blocking the attack without him even flinching. He remains completely calm and composed. Another enemy mocks him, thinking he's trying to run away by changing his face. A big mistake. Our guy's form shifts in an instant, his hair turning jet black and his eyes glowing a demonic red. The goon is so shocked he can barely breathe. And pow, a fist smashes right into his face before he can even blink. This new, terrifying form looms over the fallen man. A caterpillar dared to ruin my plan, he says, his voice dripping with menace. Don't even think of leaving this place alive today. And that terrifyingly handsome, red-eyed smirk tells you he's about to unleash absolute hell. This absolute fool grabs our girl, threatening our shirtless hero. You think you're strong? I'll kill this weak girl. But our man just scoffs, giving him one last warning that woman's fire is not easy to put out. The idiot just laughs, thinking it's a joke. What fire? I am resistant to fire, try me. Famous last words, buddy. Our girl just lightly touches his hand and a single flame sparks to life. The fire immediately erupts, consuming the man in a raging inferno as he screams his last. She just watches him burn with a look of complete and utter boredom, an absolute queen. With the trash disposed of, our hero turns to the rest of the goons, his eyes glowing. It's your turn next. The lackeys try to hype themselves up, shouting that he can't possibly take them all on at once. He just smirks. A bunch of ants, I just have to step on them a few more times. Suddenly, a blade comes flying right for his head. He dodges with lightning-fast reflexes and catches the blade just inches from his face, looking seriously annoyed. Were you trying to kill me just now? Of course, the culprit is our chaotic heroine holding a gun and playing dumb. Nonsense, I knew you'd be able to dodge it. She complains that he killed everyone before she could get her points, and he just thinks to himself that this woman is a fatal poison. He's not wrong. As one of the bodies turns to dust, it leaves behind a little bottle. Our girl quickly scoops it up, realizing it's the antidote for the muscle weakness powder she was hit with. But before she can drink it, vines shoot out and snatch her gun away. The last standing goon screams, "You bitch, you're too troublesome." He uses his powers to slam her against the ceiling and drop her into a cage made of unbreakable black iron. Trapped, she asks why she's always the target. "Fine, I won't leave then." But then a savage smirk spreads across her face. "But I feel like it's not a bad thing for you guys to die by my hands. Because that guy over there," she says, pointing at our hero, "won't even leave you a full corpse." And she was right. The room is a total bloodbath with bodies and limbs everywhere. The last goon is shaking, realizing he's facing a literal demon from the underworld. Our hero slowly stalks towards him, his eyes glowing with rage. The man immediately drops to his knees, begging for his life and offering up a whole gold mine. But our man is not swayed by bribery. He stands over the coward, his power radiating off him. He raises his hand, his voice like ice, "Those who offend me," and unleashes a devastating energy blast, "Shall die." With the final enemy defeated, he turns and just walks away from the carnage. He's just gonna leave. A survivor cries out for help, but our girl realizes this guy has zero intention of saving her. Still weak and trapped, she has to think fast to make him stay. As he walks away, she begins to recite a beautiful, ancient poem. Her voice fills the room, speaking of the moon and dancing shadows. The imagery is so vivid, he can practically see the celestial beings she describes. He stops in his tracks, completely captivated by her beautiful and elegant words. Our girl strikes a pose, knowing her plan has worked. He turns back to her, a small smile playing on his lips. "Tonight's moon is surely beautiful. Would you like to have a drink with me?" The system alerts go wild. Not only has she leveled up to 2 stars and unlocked a new skill, she's also scored a fat stack of points for her trouble. As he carries her through the night sky, our girl can only think about finding her father, hoping he's still safe in Jeonju. They leave the bloody Gyeongming mountain far behind them. He lands them in a stunningly beautiful clearing filled with cherry blossoms in full bloom. But this isn't a romantic date, not by a long shot. He immediately calls her out, saying she's greedy for not only killing the cultivators for their crystals, but also for taking their gold mine. Our girl is floored. How does he know about the secret crystals? He corrects her with a sly grin, saying he only killed 2 of them, she killed the rest. Then he leans in close, commenting on how beautiful the cherry blossoms are. But not as beautiful as *Kim*. Oh, the absolute nerve of this man. She's not impressed, telling him that being so direct isn't going to win her heart. He just gets darker, touching her face and warning her that the more beautiful a thing is, the more dangerous it is. He gently plucks a petal from her hair, adding that they bloom so well because they've absorbed a lot of nutrition. Our girl is so done with his mind games, frustrated that he never acts how she predicts. He then asks her a chilling question. What does she think is giving the trees so much nourishment? She doesn't miss a beat, a cold smile on her face as she answers, "Corpses. There are no other possibilities." Suddenly, the overpowering scent of the flowers makes her sneeze. He notices it too. The air has become unnaturally heavy with the smell of cherry blossoms. The scent is almost intoxicating, luring them into a dreamlike state. Suddenly, the world shifts into a painful memory or a powerful illusion. A different man, a prince, stands before her, looking utterly betrayed. "Why?" he asks, his voice breaking. "Why did you have to do that?" He thought she was different from the other women who only used him for his power and influence. Then comes the accusation that shatters her heart. "You killed my father. Why did you lie to me?" She desperately tries to explain, but he refuses to listen. He grabs her, his eyes filled with rage, snarling that he knows the truth. She was just afraid he couldn't get revenge for his father. The illusion feels so real, so painful. And then it shatters, revealing the horrifying truth beneath the beautiful trees. A mass grave of bones. The spirits of the dead rise from the earth, their ghostly forms screaming in agony. But the general is completely unmoved, scoffing at their cries of innocence. The ghosts shriek that they were just trying to invade his country when he wiped them out. They swarm him, demanding he give them back their homes and their lives. His response is absolutely savage. "Rest in peace if it hurts," he says coldly as he summons a storm of lightning. He unleashes his power without a shred of mercy. The vengeful spirits are instantly vaporized in the blinding white light. He warns her that this place is a trap, that the cultivators they just fought were trying to lure them in. But our girl has dollar signs in her eyes and pushes him away, declaring that the gold mine is right in front of them and she's not leaving it behind. She scoffs, calling him a robber for wanting everything for himself, and firmly states she isn't leaving until that gold mine is hers. Seeing her absolute greed-fueled determination, he lets out a sigh and simply says, "Fine." But before she can even take a step, she lets out a startled yelp. Because this man just swooped in and picked her up, smoothly telling her she doesn't have to walk. And just like that, he's carrying our flustered heroine off like a sack of potatoes. Suddenly, the sky darkens and thunder crashes around them. A massive storm rolls in, completely drenching the entire area. As they ride through the torrential downpour, he suggests they head to a nearby village to take shelter. Our girl agrees, thinking to herself that she still has a long way to go to her destination, and this village might be a place to trigger a new mission. As they approach, they spot a couple of villagers walking through the rain. The men stare, captivated by our girl's stunning silver hair. One of them murmurs that it would be a shame for such beautiful hair to be ruined by the rain. Our girl is a bit taken aback by the sudden comment, but the villager quickly apologizes for being rude. The man then recognizes their clan's crest and kindly offers them a place to stay for the night, since the storm is only getting worse. He accepts the offer and they are led to a nearby house. The villagers tell them to wait, explaining they'll report to the headmaster, who will be thrilled to have guests. Oh, thrilled is never a good sign. The host offers them wine, trying to play it cool, but something feels off about this whole setup. Our girl immediately clocks the weirdness, asking why the supposed headmaster is hiding behind a screen. A servant explains it's because she's unmarried and it's inappropriate, but our girl calls bull, questioning their ancient traditions. Meanwhile, the general is busy getting intel, learning about our girl's mysterious past involving a disappearing gold mine. He's convinced she's hiding a mountain of secrets, and honestly, he's not wrong. Our heroine catches him staring and snaps, asking if he's done yet. He just smirks back, saying almost, clearly enjoying getting under her skin. His poor subordinate tries to get him to act right, but the general is in full-on chaos mode. Fed up, our girl decides to ignore him and focus on the food because priorities. But as she goes to dig into the chicken, she finds a horrifying surprise waiting inside. It's hair stuffed right into her dinner. The woman behind the screen asks if the food isn't to their liking, playing dumb. Our girl is completely grossed out, but the general just calmly points out the hair isn't asterisk, only asterisk in the food. He tells her to look around. She glances up, completely horrified by what she sees. The entire room is filled with massive, writhing tendrils of black hair. So that's what he was staring at this whole time. The woman's silhouette is now surrounded by her creepy, sentient hair. She creepily says that beautiful hair must be taken care of. Then she orders her servants to serve them, and one approaches with a very sharp knife. He offers to cut their meat, but our girl knows he means to cut them. The general calls out their terrible hospitality as our girl snatches the knife for herself. They stand back to back, ready for a fight, but our girl has a better idea, and a sly smile spreads across her face. She suddenly leans into the general, telling the servant that he's the one who's hungry and needs his meat cut. The servant absolutely loses it, furious that she's trying to redirect their attack. The general has had enough of this game. His eyes glow as he channels his power into his chopsticks. With a flash of lightning, he unleashes a blast of energy. Boom, the servant is sent flying, coughing up blood. The general's voice is ice cold as he asks, "Who gave you permission to interrupt us?" He shatters the chopsticks in his hand, his patience completely gone. The headmaster's hair flares up, warning them not to push her. The hair lunges, and in a split second, the general yanks our girl out of harm's way. She lands against his chest, completely flustered that he just held her. But the moment is cut short as the hair whips around, binding them tightly together. They are completely trapped. A girl and the general are suddenly bound by an enemy's living hair. And things get awkward real fast when she feels something pressing against her back. A random goon warns them that Lord Kingmo's hair is unbreakable, so they might as well give up. It seems hopeless as they're tied up tight. The hair villain himself appears, ordering his lackey to cut off our heroine's beautiful silver hair. But this goon picked the wrong girl to mess with. He immediately starts sweating bullets. He tries to laugh it off, thinking it's just a toy. "Oh, you sweet summer child," our girl hits him with the ultimate comeback. The era has changed. Sensing the danger, the general pulls her into a tight hug. She yelps that he's hurting her, but he just tells her to be still. He whispers for her not to be hasty, promising it won't hurt for long. Then with a massive surge of power, he rips the magical hair restraints apart. The hair villain seems more amused than angry. He boasts that his hair fills the entire house and they'll just get tangled again, revealing his creepy obsession with our girl's silver locks. This dude is seriously unhinged. But our heroine isn't scared. She claps back, reminding him she can handle both close and long-range attacks. And to prove her point, she unleashes the Phoenix Flame. The villain shrieks in horror as his precious hair goes up in smoke. "Take that, you creepy Rapunzel knockoff." He tries to make a run for it, but our girl isn't about to let him escape. Just as he flees, a massive storm breaks out. He disappears into the rainy night, but as the smoke clears, our girl notices the burnt hair has a familiar scent. Suddenly, the world shifts, and she realizes it was all an illusion. They're surrounded by skeletons tangled in the very same black hair. She puts it all together: the people they met, the servants, they were all long dead. The villain appears in the pouring rain, claiming they forced his hand. Our girl prepares to fight, saying she'll use her fire spells against his rain-filled village. He just scoffs behind his fan. But the general steps forward, completely unimpressed. He tells the villain his end is near. The villain calls him insolent, but the general's resolve is absolute. Just then, a terrifying new presence descends from the stormy sky. It's the Emperor. He accuses the general of rebellion and demands to know why he killed that woman. Long Cheng just stands there, staring daggers in the pouring rain. Our girl watches from a distance, completely baffled as to why their rooftop chat has suddenly turned into a dramatic thunderstorm stare-down. The old man is absolutely fuming, telling Long Cheng he's a huge disappointment. But before he can even finish his sentence, a blade bursts right through his chest. And holding the dagger with a savage grin is, "Our girl?" She mockingly asks him, "Didn't you say you have no weaknesses?" Long Cheng is utterly stunned, "It's her." The imposter smirks, kicking the old man's body off the roof, saying, "Of course it's me." She then gets all philosophical, telling him she was talking about his flaws. But Long Cheng isn't listening, his eyes are locked on the sword in her hand. "Where did you get that?" he demands. But wait, the real our girl is right behind him holding a similar sword. "You're talking about this?" she asks. She proudly explains that she didn't want the super strong black iron from the cage to go to waste, so she crafted 2 swords. She even offers him one. Look at her little face, so proud of the 20 system points she spent to make them. Long Cheng takes the blade, a strange look on his face. "What is this? A killer weapon as a token of love?" Our girl's face just screams, "Are you serious right now?" But before they can get into that chaotic conversation, they look over at where the body fell. It's completely vanished into thin air. Suddenly, the doppelganger appears again, screaming, "General, be careful, don't get deceived by her, that isn't me." Our poor heroine is completely flabbergasted. The 2 women stand on opposite ends of the roof, both claiming to be the real one. The fake one begins to weave some kind of illusion spell, but Long Cheng is having none of it. He unleashes his own power. With a single touch, he shatters the spell, declaring that the woman who could be his weakness is definitely not a weak person. Our girl is freaking out. "What the heck? The token of love I gave you is actually a killer weapon." The aftershock of his power is so strong it almost throws her off the roof. But in a flash, he's behind her, catching her waist to steady her. She trembles, wondering how he got behind her so fast. He looks down at her, his expression softening for just a moment. "You've suffered, but I've made my judgment." He gently takes the sword from her hand. "It's your turn now," he says, his eyes blazing with cold fury. He swings the sword, unleashing a terrifying wave of energy. The attack slices right through the building. A massive boom echoes through the night. The imposter shatters like a broken mirror, her illusion completely destroyed. He explains that the clone was just a tool to vent his anger, but he was never fooled by it. But our girl is not swooning, she's absolutely livid. "Thank my ass, my heart is aching for the 20 points I wasted on those 2 swords. The maids gossip behind their mistress's back, complaining about her strange behavior and her obsession with combing her bald head. The other maid quickly shushes her, terrified they might be overheard. But their mistress is lost in her own world, convinced that a bunch of flower petals will magically grant her a full head of beautiful hair. She lets out a truly unhinged smile, her plan clearly bordering on madness. As she begins her bizarre ritual, she has no idea she's been found out. Suddenly, she whirls around, her face twisted with rage, having heard every single word. With a terrifying scream, she lunges for the poor servant, declaring that the maid's hair is now hers. The vision of the gruesome murder melts away, replaced by a cascade of stunning silver hair. The bold woman Kingmo stands before our heroine, absolutely mesmerized by her perfect locks as lightning cracks the sky. Just then, a system notification pops up, triggering a new quest. Our girl smirks, this was her plan all along. She now has 2 options: kill the villainess for 1,000 points or redeem her for double the reward. But redemption doesn't seem to be on Kingmo's mind as she screeches with jealousy. Our girl, completely unfazed, calls her out for using hallucinogenic flower petals to create illusions. She figured it all out, realizing Kingmo was trying to show her a tragic backstory to gain her pity. Kingmo just cackles, admitting she wanted our girl to die, knowing exactly why she was being targeted. Her face contorts with pure hatred as she screams that ugly servants don't deserve such beautiful hair. She lunges forward in a blind rage. Our heroine calmly remarks that jealousy is just an admission of defeat. Kingmo absolutely loses it, denying she could ever be jealous of a cheap slut. She attacks with deadly intent, but our girl dodges with ease. Furious, Kingmo unleashes her own hair, which acts like deadly whips. But just as she's about to strike, a handsome stranger intervenes. He slams her into the ground, reminding her that he's still there. And in a move of pure savagery, he literally rips her scalp off. But instead of dying, Kingmo just laughs maniacally. She reveals she has fused with her demonic hair. As long as it exists, she is immortal and can strike from anywhere. The dark tendrils spread out, ready to attack from all sides. Our heroine and the general stand ready for the fight. "Oh, so it's like that?" our girl says with a smirk, wondering why villains are always so eager to get themselves killed. She reaches into her inventory and pulls out a handful of modern grenades. Without a second's hesitation, she lobs them all toward the enemy. Let's be clear, our girl is not a saint. She's here to eliminate anyone who provokes her. She flashes a confident, chaotic smile. The entire area erupts in a massive explosion, followed by another for good measure. Standing atop a flying vessel high above the fiery chaos, our girl coolly turns to the general. "The ground is hot," she says, "why don't you fly with me?" In the middle of a storm, he casually takes over, whipping out a modern hang glider. Our girl is rightfully freaking out as the ground explodes below them. But he just pulls her into his arms, calmly saying he doesn't recognize the things she randomly takes out. He holds her steady on the rooftop tiles, the fire reflecting in his eyes. Leaning in close, he whispers that he only knows one thing. That with a beauty in his embrace, it's his duty to step on all the danger for her. My heart, this man is a professional swoon inducer. And just like that, they're soaring through the stormy, lightning-filled sky as the world burns beneath them. Absolutely cinematic. Later, safely on the ground, our girl's mind is racing. The maid who greeted them supposedly followed her father into the palace and never returned, so how could she recognize her so quickly? Her suspicion grows. Unless the maid was expecting her, it makes no sense. The three of them walk through the quiet courtyard, the air thick with unspoken questions. He breaks the silence, asking the maid why there's a mirror hanging in such an odd place. The maid's expression turns grim as she reveals a horrifying story about ships filled with corpses being found in Jeonju. She continues, explaining that when the officials went to bury the bodies, a deadly plague broke out. Our girl's face pales, realizing the chaos they just escaped might be nothing compared to the danger that lies ahead. The maid's face twists in horror, revealing the trap. They are right under your feet. And then her expression shifts into pure chaotic glee as she reveals the second headmaster is down there too. She cackles, explaining that the moment the dead smell a living human, they'll claw their way back up. Our girl freezes, sensing the malevolent energy all around her. The maid continues to taunt her, saying she can go look for the headmaster herself now. Our heroine demands to know why she would betray her family like this. The maid launches into a tirade, blaming our girl for seducing all the powerful men and causing the downfall of her own family. She smugly declares that the second prince fell for her asterisk, promising to make her his consort if she gets rid of our heroine for good. As if on cue, the ground begins to churn and undead hands burst forth, grabbing at our girl's ankles. But our heroine is completely unfazed. She calmly states the facts. You helped him kill my family and buried their infected corpses here. The maid cackles maniacally, confirming everything. She gloats that once our girl is dead, she'll finally become the prince's consort. His consort, our girl scoffs, her eyes blazing with fury. You're not worthy to be called a human. In a flash, she lunges forward. With lightning speed, she grabs the traitor by the throat, her grip like iron. She lifts the sputtering woman into the air with one hand, her expression absolutely terrifying. Go turn into a ghost, she snarls, and wait for your precious second prince. Then she lets go, dropping the body to the ground like a sack of trash. And right on time, the corpses her family buried rise from the earth, drawn to the fresh blood. As they stand back to back, the general watches the horde approach. Our girl smirks, admitting she lost control, and that's why they're surrounded by the living dead. He just chuckles, saying he finds her willful nature cute, because weak women need a man to protect them. If you want to go crazy, he says with a grin, then go vent. A real man should be strong enough to let his woman go wild. And then he delivers the ultimate line, I'll be the one to deal with all of your consequences. His eyes flash with a dangerous red glint as he prepares to unleash hell. Our girl looks at him, touched by his words. Since you've said so much, she begins before suddenly leaping away, then I'll leave them to you. The general is left standing there, completely dumbfounded as she just ditches him. Moments later, our girl is in the study room, searching frantically for something. She can't find her father's medical records anywhere and suspects the second prince must have taken them. Just then, the general walks in, having apparently dealt with the zombie problem single-handedly. He presents her with a pouch full of secret crystals he retrieved from the bodies. She asks if he needs them to regain his strength. He coolly replies that he doesn't need to borrow strength, and tells her that in the future, if she has good things she doesn't want, she can just toss them his way. Our girl is so delighted, she turns into a little chibai before absorbing the energy from the crystals. A system window pops up, she's reached 3-star and received a new skill. She immediately decides to test it out by absorbing all the books in the study into her secret space, hoping the medical record is among them. The general just watches her amused. You're gonna steal your own things? Our girl just winks and says it brings good luck. But their cute moment is interrupted by the whistling of arrows filling the air. An ambush, a commander yells the order from the second prince. Release the arrows, don't let anyone from the Su family get out alive. The second prince's plan is in motion, and the manor is now engulfed in flames. He's given the order, leave no witnesses alive. But our girl's general is not worried, saying they wouldn't dare burn the bridge just yet. He tells her he won't leave her behind, and that he's coming with her. And just like that, our girl has a chaotic plan B, throwing a giant blanket over his head. She scoops him up like a sack of potatoes, ready to make a run for it. Outside, the commander is losing his mind, screaming at his men to keep firing flaming arrows. A door gets kicked open with a massive bang, and out walks General Lung. The soldier is utterly confused, asking why the heck he's wearing a blanket. His one-word deadpan answer, cold. The soldier tries to stop him, demanding to inspect what's under the blanket, but the general just gives him a death glare, his eyes glowing with pure menace as he declares that no one but the king can stop him. He tells the guard to move, or he'll take his life, savage. The soldiers are left shaking in their boots, wondering how they are supposed to explain this to the second prince. The commander's answer is swift and brutal. He cuts down his own man for questioning him. What a psycho. He then frames the general, ordering his men to report that Longcheng killed a soldier and is now a rebel. He's seething with rage, thinking how dare a mere general act like a king. Meanwhile, once they're safe, our girl is yelling at him to put her down. But he just keeps carrying her, and she can't help but swoon over how cool her general is at all times. Girl, I get it. She starts teasing him, listing all his recent chaotic deeds and saying she feels like she's boarded a pirate ship. She playfully pokes his chin, and he smoothly replies that not just anyone can board his ships. Oof, the tension. He calls her out on being bold today, and then in a totally unexpected move, he just flips her upside down. Our girl is absolutely shook. She's dangling there, wondering why this man can't do anything normally. As she's trying to get her bearings, she spots someone hiding in a small alcove. It's the little pharmacist boy, and he's just as confused to see his fairy sister hanging upside down. He panics, thinking he's been exposed, but the general's reflexes are faster, and he snatches the kid before he can run. The boy pleads with them, explaining that His Highness told him not to let them find him. Our girl is confused. He clarifies that the crown prince was worried she'd fall into the second prince's trap, so he sent him to check on her. He dusts himself off, looking relieved. Then he starts rambling about the rumors he heard about her, that she went crazy for love and exterminated an entire sect, becoming an unblinking murderer and a demon queen. He's totally starstruck. Our girl realizes the news has already spread, but it's not the truth. She grabs a guard and demands to be taken to His Highness immediately. She has to find her father's medical journal, or she'll never find the source of the plague. But when she turns to give another order, the dude has completely vanished, like gone into thin air. But not for long, he suddenly reappears behind her, grabbing her arm. This chaotic weirdo begs her to grab him by the neck and pretend to take him hostage. Apparently, he's terrified his master will beat him to a pulp otherwise. Our girl is not impressed by his acting skills and shoves him off. A loud kick echoes through the hole, and it's our heroine kicking the doors wide open like an absolute boss. But the scene inside is a total nightmare. Bodies are strewn everywhere. She walks through the bloody aftermath without even flinching. She finds one man still breathing and grabs him, demanding to know if the crown prince was there. The guy looks away, clearly faking his injuries, while her dramatic companion freaks out in the background. But you can't fool our girl. She checks his pulse and notes his darting eyes. He's lying through his teeth. She leans in close, reminding him that she's a secret agent from a renowned medical family. She knows he's faking. He's still committed to the act, so she pulls out a dagger, her patience worn thin. Then act till the end, she says before punching him square in the gut. The other guy is completely shook, realizing the rumors about her being a demonic murderer might actually be true. Our girl just sits there, looking unbothered by the carnage. He scrambles away, begging her not to kill him. He runs for his life, wondering why his fairy sister turned out to be so terrifying. But he steels himself, remembering that only he can save His Highness now. Meanwhile, inside the palace, the second prince and Zhao are plotting, confident our girl will fall right into their trap. The prince looks smug, completely sure of himself. He cackles, boasting that his plan is absolutely impeccable. Zhao calmly announces they're here now. And just then, the dramatic companion bursts through the gates. The guards immediately cross their spears to stop him. He screams out, "Master, I'm here to save you." Zhao just points out the obvious, that's not the Su family's girl. The prince absolutely loses it, screaming, "Shut up, I'm not blind." He's in a full-blown tantrum, accusing Zhao of trying to make him drink pee before ordering the guards to bring the boy to him. The villain calls out our girl's name, knowing she's hiding nearby. And to lure her out, he reveals his leverage. 2 innocent children tied up and terrified. With a twisted grin, he reveals he's targeted her maiden family, the only people she has left. He gives her a chilling ultimatum, come out now or they die. And just like that, our heroine makes her grand, chaotic entrance. Soaring through the sky on what looks like a freaking hang glider, she demands he let them go. Our girl lands, looking absolutely furious and ready to throw down. She'd already had a rough night dealing with the bodies in the courtyard, but now she's leveled up and ready to unleash hell. She strikes a heroic pose, telling the scumbag to come at her and leave the innocents out of it. The villain is absolutely delighted she's taken the bait, the creep. But instead of fighting her, he gives a horrifying order, kill them. Without a moment's hesitation, his guard slits the throat of the helpless child. Our girl watches in pure shock and horror as blood splatters across her face. And this absolute monster just laughs, reveling in her pain. That's it, no more games. The flaming sword of vengeance is out. Suddenly, the psycho does a complete 180, trying to sweet-talk her about his succession ceremony and how she'll be his queen. Our girl is having none of his delusions, raising her sword and icily informing him, "You are not worthy." He dodges her swing, but she sends another weapon flying right at him. It's a small, deadly bell. She closes the distance in a flash. But her attack is suddenly blocked. A loud clang echoes as her weapon is stopped cold. A new challenger has appeared, a mysterious knight in full, intimidating armor. The villain starts laughing, revealing his trump card. He introduces General Tai, a gold elemental magician whose armor makes him immune to her spells, before taunting some loyal dog in the crowd. But our girl shuts him down with a savage burn, asking if he's actually dumb enough to think he could capture the crown prince. She lays it all out for him. "I didn't come here to save anyone, I came here to kill you." And the villain absolutely loses it. Screaming in a fit of rage, he orders his new armored goon to take her life. The general obliges, stomping the ground with enough force to shatter the stone beneath him. He launches himself at her like a missile, but our girl is way too agile for that. She dodges his clumsy attack and lands a swift kick, unleashing a vortex of water magic. A voice from off-screen calls out, "You're lying on the ground pretending to be dead." And there he is, the crown prince himself, arriving on horseback like a scene from a movie, asking who they're waiting for. His friend is overjoyed to see the crown prince is okay, but our girl looks up betrayed as the prince just stares down at her coldly. He doesn't even offer a hand. Instead, he spits out, "Don't misunderstand me. I'm here to help Yun Kai and Liu." Ouch, that's a savage burn. He completely ignores our poor heroine. Meanwhile, General Leung receives an urgent message to meet by the water. A mysterious woman informs him that Lord Luo wants to discuss something with him about his majesty. The general is a little suspicious, but she urges him to come aboard. When he gets to the boat, he's told the meeting is confidential and he must come alone. Yeah, this doesn't feel like a trap at all. He leaps onto the deck and immediately asks where Lord Luo is. The attendant just gives him a creepy smile and leads him forward, complimenting him on his loyalty to the emperor. The man's smirk is giving major villain vibes as he says he'll take him directly to his majesty. But when the door opens, General Leung freezes in horror. The emperor is a zombie, and he's not alone. An entire horde of them lurches forward. Back at the other battles, Iron Ghost's attack is weakened by the prince's water shield. Our girl is shocked. She had no idea he was a secret tart master. The prince unleashes a powerful stream of water, sneering that as a fire master, she's his natural enemy. He then freezes Iron Ghost's hammer solid. Our girl thinks that even though he hates her, he still came to save her. But he just calls her shameless and tells his friend to leave her behind. Iron Ghost shatters the ice, completely disappointed in the prince. He deflects another attack, lecturing him that to be a true ruler, you have to be superior and cruel. He scoffs that the prince doesn't even have the heart to sacrifice two nobodies for the greater good. Yun Kai and Liu gets furious at being called a nobody and insults him back, launching a fire attack that slams right into the armored warrior. But our girl steps forward, her eyes blazing. "I'm not just a woman," she declares, drawing her bow and promising to treat the prince as her significant other. Iron Ghost easily fends off the attack. Mocking her promise, he stomps the ground, boasting that he's survived hundreds of battles, a ghost born among the dead. He calls them weaklings and lunges right for our girl. And just as his hammer is about to crush her, a hand stops it dead in its tracks. It's General Leung, and he looks absolutely furious, smashing the hammer to pieces with a single blow. In another location, Yun Kai and Liu is explaining the truth to the prince. The cut on the emperor's neck happened asterisk after asterisk. He turned into a zombie. Su Jianyu did what had to be done, something the prince couldn't handle himself. The prince turns to our girl, his expression unreadable. "Why didn't you tell me?" She just gives him a little smirk. "You didn't give me a chance to explain." He confesses he left because he was afraid he'd have to kill her if he stayed. Iron Ghost laughs, thrilled at the chance to kill the legendary General Leung and make a name for himself. But the general is completely unbothered. "What makes you think you can kill me?" Turns out Iron Ghost brought an army. Just as things look bad, Leung's own forces arrive to help. But the general is an absolute unit and says he can handle these nobodies himself. He then turns over command of his dragoon army to the crown prince, telling his son he's entrusting them to his care. He declares that from now on, his life is his own, and he is living for himself. He turns to our girl, his expression softening. "Who picked on you just now?" She smiles, gesturing to their enemies. "You know who." His eyes flash with blue energy. "Well then, I'll kill them off for you." But the crown prince steps between them, getting all territorial. "She's one of my people and I put her first." The two men face off, ready to fight over her. They charge at each other, their powers clashing in a massive explosion. But our girl has had enough of this chaotic testosterone contest. "I'm not an object," she yells, summoning a massive firebolt. "You should be throwing yourselves at my feet."